Are you so desperate to fight criminals that you lock yourself in to take them one at a time?
Actually, there were 7 of them.
I counted 6, Mr. Wayne.
How do you know my name?
The world is too small for someone like Bruce Wayne to disappear, no matter how deep he chooses to sink.
Who are you?
My name is merely Ducard, but I speak for Ra's al Ghul, a man greatly feared by the criminal underworld, a man who can offer you a path.
What makes you think I need a path?
Someone like you is only here by choice. You have been exploring the criminal fraternity, but whatever your original intentions, you have become truly lost.
And what path can Ra's al Ghul offer?
The path of a man who shares his hatred of evil and wishes to serve true justice. The path of the League of Shadows.
You vigilantes.
No. A vigilante is just a man lost in the scramble for his own gratification. He can be destroyed or locked up, but if you make more of yourself than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely.
Which is?
Legend, Mr. Wayne.
After the sudden and violent assassination of his parents' killer, Bruce Wayne disappears to the corners of the globe, looking to fight injustice with the help from the League of Shadows. 7 years later, the prodigal son returns, and with the help of Alfred and Lucius Fox, Batman is born. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we learn that it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you, as we cover 2005's Batman Begins, directed by Christopher Nolan. Colin, welcome back, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is Midnight Double Feature. This is a feature presentation episode. This is our first feature presentation episode of 2020. We're starting off big, aren't we?
Batman!
Jeepers Creepers. That's not a Batman thing.
The first thing I started, I couldn't even think of the original Batman. All I thought was, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. That's like all I could fucking think of.
Dude, did you hear? Okay, just quickly, we've already gone off a tangent, by the way. Danny Elfman is going to be playing at Coachella.
Oh wow! Yeah, well, I mean, he was in a bunch of bands. He was in like Oingo Bongo and like a bunch of bands back in the day. Yeah, I heard he actually had to stop playing music live so much because he started losing his hearing, and he was like, "Fuck that!" That's his livelihood. I don't blame him, but I hope not. I hope he's doing fine.
Holy shit, I didn't have any idea of that, by the way. By the way, this is a great start to our Batman Begins episode. Yeah, guys, like I said, thank you so much for joining us on this feature presentation episode. We're going to be covering Christopher Nolan's 2005 Batman Begins. Man, this is going to be an intimidating one. Every time we cover a Christopher Nolan film, this is our second one after The Prestige. It's always intimidating because, I mean, look, man, he's one of the greatest directors of all time. Like, I mean, come on, give us a break here. Again, feature presentation, we're going to be going through it sequentially. We're going to be spoiling this movie. If you haven't seen Batman Begins, I don't know why. Go check it out and then come right back. We're going to be swearing. We're going to be giving our thoughts on Batman, on the franchise as a whole. It's worth noting that this is our second Batman film. We covered Batman Returns sometime during Christmas 2 years ago rather now. And yeah. This is the first our first foray into the modern Batman films because Batman Returns is the old Tim Burton one. But yeah, so spoiler alert and swearing and all that stuff. And guys, please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. That would be fantastic. Please follow us on our socials. We have the After Party, which is our main group on Facebook. We have our main page, which is Midnight Double Feature on Facebook. Give that a like. But the After Party is fantastic, man. That's where our group and community comes together to talk all things movies, not just all things Batman, but all things movies. And please remember to follow us on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and our Twitter handle is at MDFPod. So please go ahead and go for gold with those. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this movie. All right. Let's give our opening thoughts. Let's go full on deep into what our knowledge, because I don't remember our Batman Returns episode specifically. It was so long ago, but I can't remember. I think we must have given our thoughts on Batman as a whole, right? Like on what this character means to us. I'm sure we did. So if you have those, Colin, go into them a bit relatively briefly, but give me the lowdown. What does Batman mean to you? What does Christopher Nolan's Batman mean to you? Hit me.
Well, yeah, this to me, growing up, a kid who was growing up in the early '90s. In the mid 90s, obviously the Michael Keaton stuff was just inescapable. That was Batman for me for a long time. And I can remember being, I think in second or third grade when Batman and Robin came out, I think, and obviously I loved those when I was a kid. It's not till you kind of, get a little bit older, you're like, yeah, this isn't as good as I thought. So, I when it came to the Nolan one, I remember at first being I remember liking it, but also at the same time being a little bit like, this is very different from what's been going on so far. This is, it's not bad. I wasn't really all that, sucked into it when it first came out. I thought it was a fine movie. I like Christian Bale as Batman. I like they finally, I don't know. Tim Burton did really well with making Gotham a kind of character, and I think he does a fantastic job. It's just this big, intimidating German Gothic looking kind of city, but it didn't feel like a place that I could visit. It didn't seem like a real place. Whereas this Gotham, I mean, it's basically like Chicago. I think they filmed a lot of this shit, especially
Chicago,
the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and especially the Dark Knight stuff. I mean, so much of that was Chicago. And what I remember was, I can't remember if I went and saw this in theaters or if it came on TV or what. I don't remember. I don't think I went and saw it in theaters. But I remember getting the game, the Batman Begins game, the tie-in game. Did you ever play that at all?
No, I didn't.
I mean, it's really nothing great. I remember playing it, enjoying it, and having fun with it, and never really talking about it again. I mean, it's no Arkham Knight. I mean, Arkham Knight's replay value is just through the fucking roof. But when I first saw this, I really wasn't just like blown away by it. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that, I don't know, there was something I could see what Christopher Nolan was going for. This like militia realistic like Batman, and I really wasn't, I wasn't taken aback by it, but I also wasn't completely sucked into it yet. Not until the Dark Knight came out, and I was just like, oh my god, this is incredible, because the Dark Knight is just, I mean, it's a crime film. It's not even like superhero shit, So when this first came out, I remember I remember the score really well, because that was very different. Again, Hans Zimmer doing that Black Ops shit that he does, just so well. And I remember enjoying it. I don't remember when I saw it. And as I get older, I have more appreciation for this one. I think a lot of people flock to The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, and plenty of people like Batman Begins, but I think it's kind of sometimes given as like this, there's probably a lot of studio stuff going on at the same time. This is a guy who'd only directed one or two films before this, and I don't think he had ever done anything that was really this big. And I mean, this is Warner Brothers, like, ace in the hole. This is Warner Brothers thing that Justice League might bomb, but a fucking Batman movie is gonna do gangbusters at the fucking theater no matter what. Or any Batman game, or any kind of Batman merchandise. It's so funny, because when you look at like the Justice League, I like Wonder Woman, I like Superman, blah, blah, but nobody has the clout that Batman does. And even, and I love Marvel, but I really don't think that any of those characters have the kind of clout that he does, that has surrounded Batman forever. And I think that eventually maybe they might get there. But the guy's just so timeless, and with the Tim Burton one really breaking the mold on how to do these kind of movies, I think that a reboot of this was inevitable. I know a lot of people were probably mad about it, like, why are they rebooting Batman? They made 4 or 5 of those movies and the last one sucked. And I think that this was necessary. It was a necessary palate cleanser, and it was a really good point to kind of jumpstart that franchise again. And I think it kind of gave credence to that these characters can be tangible and they can be real world, but they're also going to be kind of like dark and fucked up and they'll have serious problems at the same time. So I think Batman Begins definitely opens up the door for stuff like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Watchmen and stuff like that, having these characters that feel real and not part of like that fantasy kind of Batman world that I felt in '89. But I really enjoy it. I can't put my finger on the first time that I saw it. Obviously I grew up with the Tim Burton stuff, but the Batman animated series was like my jam. I think I've probably watched all those. I love Batman Beyond as well. I think that's a really, really cool idea for a movie they need to step up and do. I think it was Kevin Smith who was like, they should get Michael Keaton to play old Bruce Wayne and then get, Taron Egerton or whoever, like some new kid to be Terry McGinnis and then have Batman set in 2030. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking cool. Like, that's badass. I'm totally down for that. So yeah, my Batman has always really been kind of the animated stuff because that's just what was readily available to me, as a kid with only like 6 TV channels. And I really enjoyed this. But like I said, at first it just didn't suck me in. But, it's kind of like as a kid, as a boy, I love Dark Knight, but as a man, I watched Batman again. So I'm like, that's still really fucking good. You just don't give it as much credit as it should the first time around. But obviously, I think it's a great movie. And, it spawned, the best, probably one of the best sequels, if not the best superhero film of all time.
No, absolutely. Just quickly, where do you rank this movie among the 3?
I don't know.
Without a doubt, The Dark Knight's at the top, right?
Right. No, it's number 3. Without a doubt, it's definitely the number 1, but I really like Dark Knight Rises. The choreography is dog shit in that movie. It's fucking awful compared to watching, like, I watched the fuck out of it in this one because like Christopher Nolan, man, like that choreography was just awful. Even when you're watching Bane and Batman fight on the steps, and I love the choreography between Bale and Hardy, but when you're watching the extras around them, I'm like, dude, this looks like demo fighting. Like, what is going on? Like, nothing, like all these people are moving slow. Like, no, I don't know. It's just really bad. I think as a film, it's probably better than Dark Knight Rises, but considering the fact that they were probably going to bring Heath Ledger back again and they kind of had to make something up on the fly, I think they did as best as they could to wrap up that trilogy. But as far as personally, I like Rises better, but I have to admit that Begins is probably a better film.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. Dark Knight, without a doubt, number 1, and then Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight Rises. And I don't want to take anything away from Dark Knight Rises, man. Tom Hardy's a fucking powerhouse in that film, but there are some like story choices in that movie, specifically around Talia al Ghul that I'm not really happy with. That movie's so amazingly well shot, dude. Like, it's insane. Like, because that's when, Nolan is a big, IMAX guy. Like, he loves to push the IMAX format, and you can totally see that in the opening scene as well. But yeah, that movie's fucking awesome. But yeah, man, turning back to this movie, this movie, okay, so I was 12 when this first came out, right? So 2005, I'm 12 years old, and I hated this movie as a 12-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I hated it because, look, thinking about it, right? Like, the first, I'm a 90s kid as well, right? Born in 93. And I'm growing up with Batman 89, Batman Returns. Those two less so. Very sadly, less so. Because my Batman was Batman Forever.
Oh, God.
I know, but as a kid, you're kind of into it, Like, as a kid, you don't really know what's bad and what's good. You don't know what camp is, right? Like, you don't have like a true north, right, so to speak. You don't have a direction. You're kind of like just loving whatever's happening on screen and being like, give me more, like that shit.
Right.
And Batman and Robin, I remember as a kid I didn't like. I was like, this is a little silly. But man, Batman Forever was my thing. Val Kilmer was, to me, I thought he was a good Batman. I thought he was a great Bruce Wayne. And Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones. That was the first time I'd ever seen Tommy Lee Jones in something. And Jim Carrey was a staple in my childhood. So, seeing him as a villain in a Batman film just made it for me. And if you look at the aesthetic and structure of that film, it's all exciting. It's, it's full of color and wonder. things that absolutely shouldn't be in a Batman film. And, cut to 2005 and we have Christopher Nolan, right? Like, I mean, at the time I didn't know Christopher Nolan was this crazy auteur filmmaker. Like, I'm watching this movie. We'd rented it, didn't watch it in the cinema. We had rented it and I watched it and I'm like, I am bored. I am actually bored as a 12-year-old watching this movie because everything is hyper realistic, right? This is a movie that could take place in our world. There has to be a reason for everything to take place, right? We have to give a reason for the functionality of the suit. We have to give a reason for the functionality of the tumbler, of the Batmobile, rather. We have to give it weight, right? We have to give it a reason why it exists. Whereas, Batman Forever is like, no, Bruce Wayne is this rich asshole who can afford all this shit, all these gadgets, and just goes out and fights crime, so to speak.
Right. Well, and not to cut you off, but this was I mean, when you're looking at 89 Batman or Forever, Batman and Robin, or Batman Returns, we're only really shown glimpses of Batman's like origin in the first one. It's very, very, very quick. I mean, this has a whole like beeline running through it of Bruce as a kid. So I heard that Nolan was able to sell him on this because, Batman doesn't suit up till like an hour into the fucking movie. You don't really get the I'm Batman reveals like an hour into this. And he sold them saying that.
Exactly.
Well, he was telling them, he was like, Christopher Reeves technically didn't don the Superman suit and Richard Donner, until an hour into the movie, which is not true. Like in the first 15 minutes, you see him in the suit, but you don't really see him like become Superman until like halfway into it. It takes a little bit longer. So he knew that he was kind of bullshitting them, but like they bought it. And that's what gave them time to kind of do all this stuff and do the setup. And ultimately for something that's a trilogy, it makes sense. If this were just a one and done, then I'd be like, it kind of did seem like they were trying to cram everything in there. Because it's a trilogy, it's fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and look, I mean, look at Batman 89, right? Like, Batman is right there, right from the rip, right? Like, literally the first scene, he's in his costume, full reveal. Whereas this is much more of a slow burn. I mean, looking back at it now as a 26-year-old, it's not really a slow burn. This is actually a great fucking film in its own right. I remember as a kid having problems with the pacing, but not at all this time around, man. Like, this is a movie that I return to a lot more than The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, The Dark Knight, I can quote you word for word. That was my favorite movie for a very, very long time. But yeah, this movie's fantastic, dude. Christopher Nolan, this is my first introduction to Christopher Nolan, obviously. And, kind of become a bit of a Nolan aficionado, man. I love that guy. If you want to see what I think of Christopher Nolan, just go back and listen to my best movie of the decade.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, fucking great movie. But yeah, this movie, oh, man, what else can I say? Hans Zimmer, like, fuck, dude. This soundtrack, paired with the Dark Knight soundtrack and the Dark Knight Rises soundtrack is just absolutely killing it. And I don't want to go past James Newton Howard because it was both of them in this initial film. And then, the last two films end up being just Hans Zimmer. I don't know why, actually. I have no idea why. But those two, pretty iconic composers worked on this one. This is filmed by a cinematographer that Nolan used to use quite often. Don't be a child and laugh at the name. His name is Wally Pfister with a P. And now he works with Hoyt van Hoytema. But yeah, this is okay. Let's talk about Bale, right? Where does Bale fit in for you in terms of Batman and Bruce Wayne?
I think he is. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I like him more. I like him more than Kilmer. I like him more than Clooney. It really, to me, it always ends up becoming: is it Keaton? Is it Affleck? Or is it Bale? And I think Affleck.
Are you talking in regards to Bruce Wayne or Batman? Because those are two different.
Right. No, I think both of them for all three. Like, okay. I think,
right.
I don't really. I think George Clooney. All of them just kind of. It's not, to me, a lot of people are like, it's not so much the Batman you got to get right, it's the Bruce Wayne part. And yeah, that's true. But I also feel like the Batman part would be much harder for me to do. Like playing the regular human guy who has to put on a facade sometimes and wears a mask and blah, blah. Like, that to me, that would not seem as difficult, but doing the Batman part would be a lot, because that's what the majority of what you're going to be doing is the Batman part. Now, I think honorable mention is Keaton, because Keaton is just so different. He's not look at Val Kilmer, look at George Clooney, look at Christian Bale, look at Ben Affleck, and look how, or Adam West, and look how handsome and tall and just very superhero-like they look. And Keaton's not that. And that's kind of what I love about it, is he is, like, he's a great fighter, but he's not a supermodel at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense to me, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I really did that in his quirkiness. I love Michael Keaton's quirkiness. I really, really like quirky actors like that. But, I actually really like Ben Affleck's as well. So it's kind of hard for me to put a number one on there. I like the, Ben Affleck is like the brawler, boxy type. And I like that. I like that kind of fighting style that he has, of just this, Hulk smash kind of Batman, and I really, really dig that. But at the same time, I don't know, Bale, it's just, he's so good when he has to be Bruce Wayne. He's like, I don't know, he's almost like a caricature of a rich, like, douchebag, like James Bottomtooth the Fourth, like, like he almost is like the caricature version of that. But when he becomes Batman, the voice, fuck the fucking voice, dude, ditch that shit, man. That's so stupid.
Oh my God,
I just like
not great. It's less so like.
And you gave this city a reason to fight. You gave, and it's like, dude, this is so fucking stupid. Versus, the trigger? Oh my God, dude, swear to me, dude.
Yeah, look, it's not as bad in this movie though. Like,
it's
that
really
might
not
be the worst part. Like, the swear to me part might be the worst part.
The funniest part about it is in Dark Knight Rises, when they're like, yeah, you're Bruce Wayne. And he's like, what? I'm not, and he's still doing the voice. I'm like, dude, just drop the voice. Like, they know who you are. But, but then you turn around and then we do Batfleck, and Batfleck has that digital voice changer. I fucking love it. I think that's great. I love, like, the digital kind of,
it's
like,
great.
Dude, I don't know why it took them so long to A, get a fucking Batman neck that would move, and then B, have a digital voice changer. You have everything else perfected in this, like, and they said that Christian Bale doing that voice was part of something that, this was Nolan saying this. He's like, he came in and he brought that voice, and that was something that set him apart from, the auditions. So, getting back to your question though, like, I think Bale is the best, like, Batman per se, but I like Ben Affleck's, like, Bruce Wayne, and that's only having seen him in Batman versus Superman. I haven't seen Justice League. I like his Bruce Wayne just because I like that more damaged, like, lethal, paranoid kind of like Bruce Wayne, and just for the same reasons I like Michael Keaton. It's just different, So personally, I probably like Michael Keaton the best as Batman, and Christian Bale the best. I'm sorry, Michael Keaton the best as Bruce Wayne, and Bale the best as Batman.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, well, I only ask because, Christian Bale, without a doubt, is my Batman, right? I grew up with him in my teens. So, whatever iteration you get of Batman, this is the one for me. But that being said, I don't think he's the best of either character. And this is going to sound totally ludicrous, dude, but I think, and not in film, but I think the one that had the most potential, George Clooney would fucking kill it as Bruce Wayne, given a good script. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of like got that suave, debonair sort of like style about him. I'm not saying like he'd make a great Batman, but I think if you were to plug him into like an older sort of like grizzled role, I think he'd fucking kill it, man. Like, the guy's got style, which is what I imagine Bruce Wayne has, but he can also be a dick. That being said, I don't think there's been a definitive Batman on screen yet. Like, I don't.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, if I had to choose one, it would probably be Bale, right? But I don't think there's one who's absolutely blown me away. I haven't really thought that there's been one that's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, so that's Batman. Yeah, come on, without a doubt. Like, there's never been a Robert Downey Jr. 100% full on, on point casting for Batman yet. I don't think so. Would you agree with that?
The only one I would say that comes close to me is like perfection, and he really is Kevin Conroy. But it's just because Kevin Conroy has been Batman in so many different types of media, and for so many years, he's definitely the actor to play him the most, and for the longest time. Yeah. But he's just got that great Batman voice, and it's fantastic. Everything from something I grew up with watching the animated series, something my nephew plays, which is like Arkham Knight. So I think personally, I would say Kevin Conroy is probably my favorite, but that's probably biased just because like that's just who I grew up with,
Yeah, no, I got you 100%. I mean, but yeah, in terms of live action, I think I don't think there's been a perfect Batman casting, much like Tony Stark for Iron Man. Oh, sorry, Robert Downey for Tony Stark. I don't think there's been that yet. We'll see how Robert Pattinson goes, but yeah, Matt Reeves is a great director. Really keen for that movie, but whatever. All right, man. Turning back to Batman Begins. Holy shit, this intro, dude. I'm so sorry. You were talking about Gotham City. This is, out of all three films, this is the best representation of Gotham City, I think. It is the one that least feels like an actual like Chicago. Every time we get an overhead shot of the Narrows, that is not, I don't think that's Chicago. Like you kind of see that like digital sort of like smoky, you see the steam rising from it, the rain, that looks like poor people Gotham City. And that looks awesome, or like awesome to me.
Right. Yeah. It really looks like, the slums. It really looks like something that's lived in. I love I guess kind of like the production design of the Narrows. I love the way that looks. That feels very Arkham Knight to me. That seems like the whole. But when you're shown shots of Gotham and you have the city backdrop and then the Narrows, it's kind of like the contrast is ridiculous though. It's insane. Like it looks so different from the rest of it. And I was like, I get that this is like shantytown, but like
where is this?
Right. Everything else looks like 2005, and the rest of this looks like 1948. It's like this is so unbelievably stark in contrast. So like, I dig the production design, but maybe just don't show those two things side by side, and I wouldn't have probably caught that. But I get it though. That's the class system. That's kind of what's being pointed out, is the fact that the rich are getting rich and the poor are staying poor, and the good people are staying quiet. So it makes sense.
No, absolutely. And look, here's another thing that this movie brings up, and I promise this is my last point before we actually get into the movie. This is one of the first movies that kind of brings up the mask being a reason. Okay, so he puts on the mask out of trauma and not out of identity. Like, it's funny. I was listening to the showrunner of Watchmen, HBO's Watchmen, Damon Lindelof, talking about this. I'm not going into spoilers about Watchmen, but he was talking about a big part of Watchmen is why we put on the mask, right? Why these superheroes put on the mask, and in this 2019 world, why, if there was to be a vigilante, why they would put on a mask. Whereas superhero movies in the early 2000s weren't really focused on that. They were more focused on the identity part. Like, I have to protect my identity, or Mary Jane's going to get hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I have to protect my identity, or Lois Lane's going to get killed, like something like that, Whereas Batman, and Lindelof specifically points out Batman Begins on the interview that I listened to, he talked about, and it's even like reflected in the dialogue, because it's Michael Caine, it's Alfred who literally says, and oh, by the way, I hope that I'm not going to get any blowback from this. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he's kind of being like, oh, by the way, in second to your thought, the reason he puts on the mask is to be a symbol and to strike fear in the heart of his enemies. But not only that, it shows just how psychologically damaged Batman is, or Bruce Wayne is rather. Like he's like all this traumatic memories is stemming from one specific incident, and that's the death of his parents. And I just love that this is the kind of movie to delve into that, and I love like that's pretty much coming from Nolan. That is such a Nolan thing to do, to like get to the heart of like a character like this, to see why they become the way that they are. And yeah, I kind of wanted to point that out, man. Like I love that this movie takes great pains to point out that he puts on the mask out of trauma and less about identity. I really appreciated that. But anyway, man, holy fuck.
Well,
no, sorry.
Last thing is, it reminds me of Rorschach from Watchmen. Is that Rorschach literally calls that's my face, like that's my identity,
right?
Like the thing that I am is like my day-to-day self is kind of, and that's the same thing with Bruce Wayne. There's been plenty of stories where it's like Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is who you really are, because it's the idealized version of yourself. It's the version that always wins the fights, who's bigger than life, and who doesn't have to pay taxes and make up the bed and do the normal day-to-day stuff like Batman. Like, you become, not only is your legacy there and it lasts forever and ever and ever, amen, but that person, that side of you is the side that people want portrayed. It's almost like, the side of people in real life versus them on like social media in a weird way. Like, it's like, this is the idealized version of yourself versus like, let me see a picture of you when you're like on the couch in your underwear eating a sleeve of crackers. No, you're never going to post shit like that. It's kind of like I don't know. I like the idea of the idealized version of yourself being the thing, because what you are right now doesn't make any sense. So you latch your identity onto this thing. And I was like, that makes perfect sense to me. And I fucking love it. But I just wanted to add that onto there.
No, absolutely, dude. And guys, by the way, if you guys didn't think we were going to do a 30-minute intro for Batman Begins directed by Christopher Nolan, you're fucking retarded.
Oh, and fuck Katie Holmes. Anyway,
fuck Katie Holmes. Yeah, no,
she
actually,
feels like a studio note. I'm sorry, like she does, because here's the thing, and hear me out. I'm not saying that like
no. You know what? There's a few studio notes in this we'll get into, but yeah, go on.
Right, she doesn't come across as like terrible. I like Maggie Gyllenhaal more just because I like Maggie Gyllenhaal more as an actress. Katie Holmes, I mean, she does okay. They don't really give her a shit ton to do with. She has some agency, but there is a lot of damsel in distress stuff.
She's also a downer, dude. Like, she's always killing the fun.
Right, yeah, that too. There is kind of like this whole like, here comes the law, great. No, but it would not strike me at all. Here's you have almost an entirely British cast, and then this one American in the middle of it. And it feels like somebody saying, you're Christopher Nolan, nobody in America knows who the fuck you are. Let's put a huge star in here right now, preferably, an attractive woman, because that's going to get some asses and some seats. And then, that'll really, really help. I mean, everybody. I mean, Cillian Murphy, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson. I don't think Liam Neeson's English. I think he's like Scottish, but either way.
I think he's Irish.
Maybe, there you go. Right. It's like R&B and hip hop. It's the same difference. I can say that. They all look alike because I fucking look like that.
So, yeah, this is when Katie Holmes is being impregnated by Xenu, the Scientology god. So, yeah, I guess she had a little bit of clout, but, what can you do? I'm
not gay. I love Katie Holmes. I'm not gay.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's just leave that there. All right, guys, we're going to get right into this, man. What do you say we get into this bitch, Colin?
All right, let's do it.
Fuck yeah. All right. So we open with this, we see these two kids, 8-year-old childhood friends, Bruce Wayne, obviously, and Rachel Dawes. They're playing a game of finders keepers in a Victorian greenhouse outside Wayne Manor. And the young boy falls into a well shaft. He screams and he's swarmed by bats, whatever. Right, it's the origin story. Like, I mean, like me just saying this sounds stupid because everyone knows this story by now, right? Like, we've seen it play out on screen so many times.
Yeah, well, and I love actually that Snyder does this at the beginning of Batman versus Superman, and it's like, oh, whatever. And then,
sake.
but then as it's happening, you have this weird like. It takes a total twist, and it's him like floating up to the top of the well. And I was like, okay, that's fucking cool. I like that because it wasn't what we were expecting. But this is just kind of like, but part of me is like, does my 2005 brain think that, or does my 2020 brain sit there and think like, oh yeah, this thing? When really this was the first movie to like, I mean,
well, this was in Batman Forever.
To it.
Like, we knew this. Like, Batman Forever told us this literally. Like, we get a flashback as he's telling Nicole Kidman his story.
Right, but I know we've seen it like in glimpses of those, but I feel like this is the first time that we're devoting this much time to it.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. But it's not just this, this moment that, it's funny now thinking back at it. As a 12-year-old, I thought that this was the moment that made him Batman. But, as this movie plays out, you'll see that this is just one single part of it that makes him Batman, right? Like, this is probably the least amount of stuff that makes him Batman.
Well, yeah, it comes across as, it's the motivation, but it's not like and he's got the means, and he's got the I don't know, I wouldn't even say the motivation. It's the experience of knowing what it feels like to be this person and never wanting that to happen to anybody again. But the motivation of staying in it and to keep doing it is not just because your parents parents are dead. They're fucking dead, man. Like, get over it at some point. But I think at some point, I don't know. And I feel like there's even comic books about that where it's like, this is not even really about my parents being dead anymore. This is just about, this is my city, and like, I help people. And maybe that's what got me into this, but it's not the reason I'm staying, No,
I'm with you. We made up with an older Bruce Wayne in Baton in this prison, and he gets into a bit of a scrap. I do like the lines here, right? Like, they're going to fight you again until they kill you. Can they kill me before breakfast?
Yeah.
And then, they throw him in solitary. Why? For protection. I don't need protection. Protection from them. For them, sorry, rather.
Yeah, great fight. I love just him smashing through the bar and dragging all those dudes down with him. I was like, cool, I dig that.
Well, here's another thing, right? Let's talk about this. This is okay. So Tim Burton and Michael Schumacher, Joel Schumacher, fucking race car driver. Joel Schumacher mostly shot on studios. Like they rarely would get out and shoot in fucking, where is this, Nepal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, rarely you would see a set like this, or like an actual specific location. You wouldn't see the mud flinging around like this. Like, you know what I mean? So it's even already, this is a unique Batman film if you're watching it in 2005.
Right. He feels bigger than Gotham. This feels like a man who comes to Gotham dressed like this surely has been around the block, has been around the globe, and has seen some shit. So it makes sense to me. I was immediately like, okay, so this is a very cultured, like, kind of Batman. I dig that.
For sure. So he's thrown into solitary, and we meet Henry Deckard, played by Liam Neeson. And man, if I'm spending time in a jail cell with Liam Neeson, I better hope I'm not black.
Oh yeah, dude, that shit was fucking nuts, man.
Those black bastards. Yeah.
Jesus, dude, that shit was fucking crazy. And it wasn't like somebody had to dig that up on him. He just like talked about it on a show, and I was like, oh my fucking God, what are you doing?
He kept on making it worse.
What are you doing, man? Like, no, shut up.
Seriously, like, I was like, Liam Neeson, I've always liked you. You've never given me a reason to not like you. But that was weird. I
mean, the only thing I'll say is it takes balls to admit that and admit that you were that fucked up of a person, but still, like, maybe that's just, some shit the public doesn't really need to know about you. Like, if you were going through some shit at the time. Right, yeah. It's like, do I think you think that now? No, but maybe keep that to it's just not a pot worth stirring right now. If that's not the case anymore, which I hope it's not, but if that's not the case anymore, don't stir that pot,
Right, I think it's, if you go back and listen to it, or like rather read about it, it's more about his meaning behind it was well intentioned. It's more about the way he came across. But yeah, read into it again. Like, cause he is well intentioned. Like he's coming from a genuine place. It's just, I don't know if this is if you needed to say this. But yeah, he's a mysterious spokesperson for Ra's al Ghul, pointed out by our good friend Jose Rivera. In the comics, in the cartoons rather, he's supposed to be pronounced Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
This is something that comes up in the games as well, right? I believe from memory, I think it was Arkham City. They pronounce his name as Ra's.
Right, yeah, from what I remember, because I remember it being kind of a mouthful when I was a kid. I was like, Ra's al Ghul? I can never quite get it down.
Yeah. But Ra's al Ghul, Henry Deckard says, a man greatly feared by the criminal underworld, a man who can offer you a path, the path of the League of Shadows. And as a kid, I'm like, ooh, what is that? But Wayne's released the next day, as instructed, and he picks up the rare blue poppy flower that grew on the eastern slopes of the Himalayan foothills, carries it to the top of the jagged and icy mountain and into a bleak monastery. Again, these visuals are just fucking beautiful, dude. Like,
that's digital. When you see the outside of it, that is digital. And I was like, looks amazing. That looks incredible as a digital set. And at first I thought miniatures maybe, but like when I started reading about it online, apparently the outside like of their compound, for lack of a better word, is completely digital. And I was like, that looks great. Like the Barrens looks like dog shit compared to this. Like this looks fantastic on the outside. Great visuals.
The Narrows. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking fucking It, the Barons.
I was like, I think you're confusing your franchises here, man.
Oh, man.
But you know what? Yeah, like I did. Okay, so watching it this time around, I had an inkling that it might have been digital because like the way it blows up later looks a little weird. Like the way it blows up, like it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. You know, our eyes are trained to like spot things like that. So maybe I just picked up on it and.
You want to hear? So now that I'm talking about It, all I can think of is at the end when they show the Joker card and it's Pennywise.
I look into it.
it's not fucking Heath Ledger at all. It's Bill Skarsgård. Like, oh, that's so fucking funny. Like, Batman was found with half his face eaten off from a water tower, and
I want to see that movie. I want to see that movie.
That would be fucking cool, man. We'll get into that. But oh my god, that's all I could think about was Batman trying to fight Pennywise and just screaming, running down the street like, "Help me! Fucking help me!"
Fuck, dude. Oh. And he does that laugh.
Oh god. Oh, that's fucking good.
But anyway, he's greeted in the Great Hall by a robed figure on the throne calling himself Ra's al Ghul, right? And this is, come to find out that this is kind of a decoy. This guy is played by Ken Watanabe, who is fucking awesome, dude. He's a Nolan regular. He was also in Inception. But yeah, he's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I've always liked Ken Watanabe. He's really good.
Oh, for sure, dude. Godzilla, let them fight. Yeah.
Gotham is his sickness and must be destroyed. Must be destroyed.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, man. His diction's just great.
Oh my god, dude. The way he spits out his dialogue sometimes.
Yeah.
What are you seeking?
Well, and the fact that he speaks English the whole time and he is just like quiet, like at first you're like, oh, this dude doesn't even speak English. And then he just kind of like the reveal of him being like, I'm fucking Ra's al Ghul, bitch, and like it's almost like not until the end does he feel like, you've earned my respect to speak in your native tongue, like kind of thing. Like until you're ready, you're just a minion. Like there's a buffer between us and it's Ducard. But then once you figure out what's going on, it kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. And I got a question for you, right? So is Batman do you know of any iteration of Batman where his fighting style or anything like that comes from ninjutsu training?
Actually,
or is this an addition?
Well, I remember having a book as a kid in like first, second, third grade, and it was just kind of like, oh, the story of Batman, and it's his parents getting killed, and it shows like the bat flying into the lab in the middle of the night, and it shows him like learning martial arts, but not like, traveling the seven seas to, learn every type of martial arts there is. It was just like it was a kid's book, and it was him in like a white, I don't know what their uniforms are called, but it's just him learning martial arts. And I was like, oh, okay, that's about the extent. I knew that Batman had learned multiple martial arts, but not until this one was it like how extensive all that shit was.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was completely a new element to me. Like I didn't know that at all. But yeah, so Wayne tells Ducard, I'm seeking a means to fight injustice, and Ducard tells him to master his own fear as Ducard begins his training and mentoring of Wayne. Essentially, Liam Neeson trains Anakin Skywalker and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that.
Yeah. So the first half of this movie, in terms of structure, is a little difficult to pin down. So we keep going back and forth between, young Bruce and then current Bruce, and then we even get like kind of like a teen Bruce as well. So I'm going to try and keep this as sequential as possible. So the film goes back to Wayne's childhood again after the fall into the well. We see that he's suffering from injuries and a newfound fear of bats. The young boy is joined by his parents, philanthropist Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, and they go for a ride on this elevated monorail, right, into Gotham City.
Like these fucking people ever have to ride that shit.
God.
It cracked me up. And I was just like, what the fuck? There's no way. That she would go to get on that monorail and be like, Thomas, I am not fucking, I don't care how old Bruce is. Can you get Alfred
to drive us? Fuck.
Do you not hear my fucking voice of how fucking mad I am right now? Like I
am not going to spend my time with those unwashed masses.
That's a pretty good American accent. I gotta say, that's actually pretty good. No, it made me laugh so fucking hard. You see cool people like Keanu Reeves on the subway, but like I don't give a fuck. I'm not Keanu Reeves, and I would never write on this piece of shit. Like, there's no fucking way.
Well, actually, it's funny because like when we see it in this flashback, it's all brand spanking new, right? Like it's not the piece of shit that it eventually becomes.
Right, yeah. The one it eventually becomes you're gonna get raped by old Rusty McStab. Like you're gonna get fucked up on this thing. And I'm like, no, man. Like this looks like this Gotham is like borderline like the city from The Crow. You know, it's like almost becoming this like god awful place and like the Narrows and stuff like that. But yeah, that part just made me laugh my ass off. Like the fact that they take public transportation. I was like, no fucking way. Like,
well, dude, you know what? Like, and watching in hindsight after having seen Joker, and you know, no spoilers for Joker or anything. Those two movies complement each other very well. Like Batman Begins and Joker. Like it's interesting to see. You know, to see this young Bruce Wayne talking to his father about the monorail system and all that stuff. And, you know, how he managed to come by and build this. But Thomas Wayne says, and, you know, if you look at this Thomas Wayne in the world of the Joker Thomas Wayne, he says, Gotham's been good to us, right? Like, it's kind of like if you read this movie in between the lines, then you kind of get where the Thomas Wayne from Joker is coming from, right? Like, it's kind of like leaving out that dark sort of like oppressed, you know, rich family. We built all this on the back of the poor kind of situation.
Right. Yeah. This seems like just that we built this for them, not because of them, like kind of thing. Yeah.
No, absolutely, dude. But yeah, they're on their way to see a production of, and I'm going to butcher this name, Mephistopheles. This is the opera. This is the opera. It includes a dark screeching bird on wires resembling bats. Okay, Nolan, look, I see what you're doing here. You did not need to change this from Zorro, because in every iteration it's Zorro. Like I don't need this. I'm sorry, Nolan. I love you, but you are so heavy-handed sometimes. But he's scared. Sorry, Bruce is scared by the sight, and he urges his family to leave early. In an alleyway outside, a robber named Joe Chill emerges from the shadows, demanding jewelry and cash, then shoots both of his parents in cold blood before fleeing. Damn. Boom. Suck shit, man.
Maybe should have had a better healthcare system. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think in previous iterations of Batman, I don't think that it's actually Bruce's fault. I don't think that it's actually him wanting to leave, right? Like I think the reason that Nolan changed the opera, like what they're actually saying to this bat-like imagery, is to spur young Bruce into getting his parents to leave, right? I think that's what's happening here, because from memory, it's they've just left the opera. It's not physically because of Bruce's on Bruce's word.
Right, the guilt is not there. No, I dig it. It's fine. I mean, it's not a huge deal to me, but logically, it makes sense. You know, it for just a small change to add so much character to Bruce of the guilt over it. I dig it.
I dig it too. Yeah, no, you know what, Nolan, I'm fine with the bat stuff now. he's like, oh, thank you. I definitely needed your fucking opinion.
I will say, you know, I don't mind this, but I actually love the way Snyder does that. The way the beads montage? Getting, like her necklace getting caught on the gun and like the point blank in her face, like holy shit, like off screen, knowing what kind of damage that did to her, you're like, oh my fucking god, this kid just watched that. And I heard that a lot of people were like, you know, he just put Jeffrey Dean Morgan in there because they want Jeffrey Dean Morgan to be like he was almost Batman at one point.
Yeah.
But now everybody wants him to be the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman, and it's amazing. That I think is the RDJ Batman casting we need. Is like, if you have you checked out Flashpoint at all? Like, you know about it?
I definitely know what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Thomas Wayne version, and he would be perfect for it. You know, that's all I'll say.
See, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I mean, look, every time I see him in something, all I think of is him as the dad from Supernatural, right? Like the way he talks in Supernatural, you know, me and my brother make fun of it so much. Like they have the cult, and like it seems like he's like, oh, we got the cult. Like he always takes a breath after he says something, like, you know, like that shit. You know, I'm just like, that gets fucking annoying.
I did not know that he wore like prosthetics in Watchmen to make him bigger. Like he didn't really hit the gym and shit. Like that's kind of like a suit. And I was like, really? And I didn't know that. And we covered Watchmen ages ago, and I had no idea. I saw it on a Watch Mojo thing, and there's like video of him getting in the suit because they just didn't think he was quite big enough. And I was like, damn, he just didn't have enough time to go pack the muscle on and shit. I was like, yeah, but still, like, God, it looks so good. Here it is 10 years later. I didn't fucking know that.
Hey, tell me more about Watch Mojo. What is it?
Fuck you.
But you know what, dude? I've been thinking a lot about Watchmen too. We need to cover that movie again. We need to recover that movie.
Just do it again.
Holy shit. But yeah, essentially, you know, before his father dies, he says, "Don't be afraid." And you know, although Joe Chill is caught, Bruce Wayne blames himself for their death, right? Telling Alfred. What the fuck, Arthur? Telling Alfred, if I hadn't got it scared, right?
Well, yeah, and I also don't want to go past the always and amazing and one of my favorite actors, fucking Rutger Hauer, it was Mr. I can't remember the character, is it like Mr. Clark or something like
Earl?
I can't Earl. That's what it is. I love Rutger Hauer, and I
Has
like
he been
him
introduced yet in the movie?
Yeah, he's at the funeral, and he comes up and he goes, "We'll be watching the Empire for you." Blah blah. I like him, but this whole thing with like Mr. Earl just kind of doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, why do they fire him? Like, why is he so mischievous and stuff? Like, part of it just kind of like, okay, like I didn't really need any of it with Earl. You know, I just did not need it. If he was going to be like a bad guy, I could have used it like. I don't know. I could see him being a little bit more evil, but we'll put a pin in that for now. But I don't need all this shit with Earl. I love Rutger Hauer, God rest his soul, but I just don't need it.
No, I don't need it either. I think they just kind of needed something for Lucius's character to push back on. Like they needed kind of like a little B plot, maybe. I don't know.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
So back at the monastery, the older Wayne talks to Descartes. My anger outweighs my guilt, right? He begins his ninja warrior and vigilante training with the League of Shadows group. They learn about swordplay, weapons, methods of deception, and theatricality to fight criminality. And the League claims to be centuries old, right? Dedicated to eliminate decadence and corruption. We'll just talk about this because, like, you know, there's a montage here. I love these shots of them fighting on the ice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I like the, not to jump too far ahead, but when he's like, you know, rub your chest, your arms will warm themselves. I think it might have been, is it David S. Goyer or it might have been Christopher Nolan? Whoever, right. Well, whoever the fuck put that line in there, they were like, oh yeah, that's not medically true. So like, I wonder how many people actually think that that's a real line. But, you know, I like this whole thing, it's your father's fault. You know, he didn't have the training that I did. And he's like, that doesn't stop from your ability to act. Your father should have acted. And, you know, there's a balance there between, I think, what Thomas did and what Descartes is talking about. Like, obviously, Wayne, you know, Thomas couldn't have stopped an armed man by himself. But at the same time, I can see Descartes' point of like, you know, your father just kind of stood there, blah, blah, blah. But he's, you know, what was he supposed to do? Like, I think at the surface, you're like, yeah, he should have like taken a swing at him. And it's like, I mean, why? So Bruce could get shot, like, you know, or something else awful could have happened. So I dig this. I dig the kind of getting to Bruce on a personal level, you know, letting him know that the inactions of people sometimes are what lead to the downfall, even though it might not necessarily be true. It's just kind of his philosophy of it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate that, man. Let's talk about David Goyer really quick, right? So David Goyer catches so much shit. Like, he's written a few stinkers, right? I mean, like, you know, in addition to The Dark Knight, which is incredible, and Batman Begins, which I guess you can argue were also co-written with Christopher Nolan. He did Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. Yeah, he did Man of Steel. He did Batman vs Superman. And he's done a few more. He did fucking Terminator Dark Fate. I mean, god damn it.
I actually really like Man of Steel. I like the whole first half hour of that, of like the Kryptonian preface. I was like, dude, I fucking love that. Like, I thought that was really cool. It gets a little bonkers later on. Yeah, like, well, it gets a little bonkers later on when like 39/11s happen to fucking Metropolis, and you're like, all right, okay, I'm good.
You don't want to talk about the scene where they kiss literally on the top of a pile of dead rubble and bodies?
Yeah, right. There's just some guy like some guy pulling his daughter's body out of a fucking like taxi that's cut her in half, and they're just like, oh, well, we're safe.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. No worries, Superman. So I guess you're not going to save me. You just want to hook up with this redhead. No worries. But I mean, it's Amy Adams, so can you blame him?
I will say something really quick. Have you ever seen the auditions they did for these? Have you ever watched them? They're on YouTube.
Wait, for Batman Begins?
Yeah.
No.
It was Cillian Murphy, Christian Bale, and I think it's Ion Bailey. Ion Bailey. He's on like Mindhunter, and he's in a couple of different shows. He's been in a bunch of stuff. But you can find it on YouTube, and it's Christian Bale in Val Kilmer's suit, and it's him and he's doing it's an audition, and they're on set, but it's Amy Adams who is Rachel Dawes, and I guess they thought about maybe casting her at some point, but then they have a couple of different scenes where it's like Cillian Murphy as Bruce Wayne, and they show this I guess Ion Bailey is his name, and he's terrible. Like there's no way he's like so, and there's no way this guy ever could have been Batman. He's not awful, but there's no even Cillian Murphy could have done it, but again, just too small of a guy for me, you know? Like, I just don't see him as Batman. I think he's perfectly cast as Scarecrow.
Dude, we can talk about Cillian Murphy, man. Like, that guy just fucking nails this movie. Like, he is a Nolan staple, and, every time he's in anything, he's just so amazing to watch. Have you seen Red Eye?
That was my introduction to him.
Yeah, mine too.
He was great.
I was like, man, this guy's creepy.
Well,
and Wes Craven couldn't have chosen a better actor for that character.
Sorry, no, I mean, it just hit me. 28 Days Later, that was definitely, I watched that on fucking VHS. You know, I saw Red Eye. I saw Red Eye in the theater when I was a teenager. I was like, no, wait, definitely 28 Days Later.
Oh, yeah, no, for me, it was definitely Red Eye, dude, because it was PG-13, right? I mean, like, it's...
Yeah.
All right, man, let's go back to this. So, so we get another flashback. A 20-year-old college student, Bruce Wayne, returns to Wayne Manor from Princeton, right? Classy bitch. And it's his idea to avenge his parents' death by killing Joe Chill, but obviously you get Rachel Dawes, played by Katie Holmes, telling him otherwise, right? He's scheduled to testify against ex-cellmate Carmine Falcone in exchange for an early parole from his prison sentence. You want to talk about Victor Zsasz? You know Victor Zsasz, right? Tell me you know about him.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. As for such a minor, never been in a film before. I don't even know if he's ever popped up in anything animated. Nothing that I've seen. I
don't think he's been in anything, dude. Like I mean, I know of him from Arkham City, right? Because he's
right.
Fucking. Yeah. I mean that game's got every villain. But yeah, I remember like really like looking out for the cuts on him, and you can definitely see them. They're 100% visible, but they're still like kind of hidden, very very much in kind of like that early 2000s superhero movie kind of way, right? Like I mean, X-Men, they had to all wear the black suits to, they couldn't wear the colored shit. Whereas Marvel have now blown that shit up, right? Like we want to get these guys in every costume, in every color. Whereas Nolan's like, I'm making a serious Batman film. Okay, it has to be earnest and it has to be real. Like
right. It makes sense because it's like he's in a fucking jumpsuit. Like he's gonna be draped from head to toe. But no, I really dug it because I was like, oh, I know that guy. It's not a huge Batman fan. I actually have a coffee table book. It's like the Encyclopedia of Batman, and it's like the essential. I mean, it's fucking like a 2-inch thick like book of all of this different shit from like the ages and stuff. I think it's a visual history. I think is the name of it. But he's in there quite a bit.
There's actually a cool shot here, dude, like in the courtroom when Joe Chill stands up and, it's the judge being like, I understand that we have a member of the Wayne family here today. Does he want to say anything? And I love like the camera doesn't pan away from Joe Chill. Like you kind of see the regret in Joe Chill's face. Right. And in the background, you just see Wayne stand up and just walk out. It's fantastic.
Well, and him being out of focus I think that's awesome symbolism of just like he's not who he wants to be right now. He's just very blurred. Like he feels like this is all happening. Like, I really dig that. I think there's a lot of good imagery there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's fucking Nolan, dude. Come on, man. Falcone is played by Tom Wilkinson, putting on an insane American accent. Wilkinson's a fully like British actor, right? Like he's super British. But I can't get past this accent. This might be my least favorite accent in the entire movie.
And you always fear, but you don't understand. It's like, dude,
kid. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He like. he's menacing though. I fucking dig like the physical acting, and I don't mind his accent. It doesn't really piss me off at all, especially because later on he's like, "Oh, Doc, help me! The walls are burned," and blah 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 blah. And he's very like he's a little bit more down, but I don't know. I dig him though. I think he is intimidating, in this. It's intimidating for someone who doesn't really do anything the whole movie. We don't ever see him like act out towards anybody.
Oh yeah, so we'll get to the cafe scene where where Wayne confronts him. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, outside the courtroom before Wayne could shoot chill, one of Falcone's men, a blonde female reporter, assassinates him. Right? Hey, Joe, Falcone says hi. Boom. Interesting that it's a female, right?
Yeah, I always love that because it's this. It's somebody who looks like, an anchor or a reporter or somebody. It's someone so like inconspicuous, the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking like, it's going to be like Joe Pesci, like walking up and just shooting this dude in the middle of this courtroom. But no, I like it because it's just, that's exactly, it looks like somebody coming up to get a quote and she just fucking plugs him. And I was like, hell yeah, that's the kind of shit that, that they go for. And I was like, that's genius. No one would ever see that coming.
Right. And I love that, I love that Gotham is just basically this cesspit. Just this absolute shithole that, has corrupt cops. We'll meet Flass soon. But basically, this judge has kind of, Falcone's paid him off to have the public trial to get Joe Chill out in the open. It's interesting, man. I really like the corruption element of it, and Dark Knight doubles down on this, right? He doubles down on the corruption element of it all. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic, and it's just it's a great way to show why this city needs Batman, needs someone with a pure heart to clean this shit up. Yeah. So Bruce tells her about the vengeful plan to kill Chill himself, and she lectures him about the harmfulness of seeking revenge. Justice is about harmony. Revenge is about you making yourself feel better, right? She advises him to look beyond his selfish pain and to see the crime in Gotham. This city is rotting. Things are worse than ever down here. Falcone floods our streets with crime and drugs preying on the desperate, creating new Joe Chills every day. According to her, Falcone was destroying everything his parents stood for, and he was no better. Good people, like your parents, who'll stand against injustice, they're gone. What chance does Gotham have when the good people do nothing? And she slaps him twice and tells him, your father would be ashamed of you.
And at this point, this is where Bruce Wayne shoots her in the fucking head because he can get away with it and nobody touches Bruce Wayne. So there you go. I mean, she's a maid's daughter. Fuck her. Blow her brains out, dude. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, she's a little brutal in this movie. I'm not kidding. Like she's such a downer. She's just just leave this guy be, man. Like, I mean, fuck.
Well, I just love Christian Bale shoots her in the head and they're just like, Bruce, it's not the purge. That's next week. And he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Wayne flings his gun into the harbor and then enters a basement dinner club where he meets the criminal boss Falcone and confronts him. He says, I came here to show you that not everyone in Gotham's afraid of you. And, states that he ruled by the power of fear. Falcone replies that the privileged Wayne was ignorant of criminal behavior and, quote, the ugly side of life. But yeah, I love how backwards this guy, like this, how quickly of a 180 this whole scene turns for Bruce. Like, Bruce just walks in there. I love Falcone being like, no gun. I'm insulted.
Yeah, the editing is a little strange here. Like, sometimes I feel like the way that this scene is edited is it's very quick at first. It's almost kind of rushed to get him into the booth. You can
shut the fuck up about the editing, all right? Because it's done by Lee Smith, who is an Australian and who's an Oscar winner. So shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying it's just I don't know if it's the action part of it, of him getting like shoved into the booth and roughed up and stuff. But I was like, part of this just seems really odd to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it should be nitpicky.
I was watching this with my brother, dude, and like Falcone gives these two guys the nod for to chuck him out, and they just start beating and wailing on him, and like I'm like to my brother, that's a bit of fucking overkill. Just throw him out. Like, what? Is this necessary?
Oh, well, the whole. I mean, and we're pretty much here, he's like, you always fear what you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. And, he pulls a gun on him and, he's like, there's a judge, there's two off-duty cops, there's a DA right over there, that's power that money can't buy, that's fear. and which is cool. I mean, Mr. fucking Theme stated, this is going to pop up a couple times. But as they're hauling him off, and he punches him in the face, and he's like, yeah, you got spirit, kid, I'll give you that. More than your old man did. He said he begged like a dog, and I was like, dude, this is
like
this
a dog.
is so. I do not need this at all. This whole we're the bad guy, and you see the henchman next to Bruce looking at him like, yeah, you little punk. I was like, dude, I don't need this at all. This is very like 1940s pincer twirling, shooting a Tommy gun out of the auto carriage as you just robbed a bank. Like, I don't know, I just didn't really need it at all.
See, when you're making a Batman film, you have to make the goons look very menacing.
You can tell this is an English dude who has no idea about American crime.
I was just about to say that. Oh, man. But, back in the monastery, Descartes tells him, what you really fear is inside yourself. You fear your own power. You fear your anger, the drive to do great or terrible things. Now you must journey inwards. And in the process, Wayne conquers his fear by embracing his worst fear, bats. It's funny because, as a Jedi is supposed to stay away from fear. That's all I could think of, right? Like, fear leads to the path of the dark side.
Yeah, I dig all this. I love the immersion fear therapy kind of thing that they have going on. Just if you're afraid of snakes, just sit in a pit of snakes, like, kind of thing. Because sometimes, sometimes that has worked for me with plenty of stuff. It's just kind of like I'm afraid of heights. But if I'm up somewhere high, I'm just like left foot, right foot, just get in there, just go in there and walk, and then if I'm not looking down and if I know, my legs work fine, why would I fall? You have to kind of like push yourself into it. But that immersion therapy kind of thing, I mean, it helps sometimes. It's helped me out with some stuff.
Yeah, it's God, where did I hear a story? I don't know. I won't be able to remember. But yeah, I 100% agree. And like, I've definitely heard of people being cured about that kind of stuff. Just kind of like chucked into the deep end kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I like the it took me a while to understand what Wayne was doing with the cutting of the uniform for the ninjas as he's trying to blend in.
Oh yeah, I fucking love that.
Yeah.
First he gets high as fuck off that blue flower. Let me tell you, that blue flower will fuck you up, son.
Yeah.
But I love the whole cat and mouse of it all, and it's kind of like, hey, he knows that Ducard will be minding his surroundings. He's like, he will notice this, and because he knows he notices it, he uses that to his advantage. It's like, that's fucking smart. Shows that he's learning,
Right, exactly, and it shows that he's a damn good learner and a quick learner too. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, after this, Descartes tells Wayne that he's now ready to lead the Ninja Warriors as a member of the League of Shadows. But first, he's ordered to show his commitment to justice by executing a criminal murderer. Right? And what does Wayne do, Colin?
They're like, hey, come over and kill this fat guy. And he's like, no.
You put a shirt on him? Fuck.
What did he do? He ate his neighbor. I love the physicality of it, of him saying no and flipping the thing up. I like this, but there's a problem that this movie has with trying to get too many one-liners in that I don't really like. And he's just like, what are you doing? What is necessary, my friend? And it's like, dude, I don't need this line. There's certain lines throughout this where he's like, I gotta get me one of those.
I kind of like that.
Oh, God. I fucking hate it, man. I can't stand them. Sorry, I can't stand the fucking one-liners of this, does it come in black? I'm like, oh,
yeah,
God.
That's one I can live without, dude. I'm just like, I don't need this from you, Wayne. Don't need this from you.
One of these awful lines gave me ovaries, and the next one gave me ovarian cancer, and I was just like, oh, God. No, it was fucking, I hate these one-liners, man. They're so fucking bad.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, all right, but let's get into this scene, because it's like, this is the scene that tells us exactly what the League of Shadows is about, right? Like, Descartes talks about Ra's intent was to send them to Gotham, was to send the ninjas into Gotham to strike at the heart of criminality, and Gotham would be destroyed by the League of Shadows, and the city was beyond saving and must be allowed to die. This kind of gets to the very purpose and function of the League of Shadows, right? This is kind of like this cleansing sort of like group, and it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I watching this scene now makes me laugh how much fucking taller Liam Neeson is than than Christian Bale. He's got like a good like 4 or 5 inches on it, dude. It's fucking funny. But
actually, just quickly, the League of Shadows kind of remind me a lot of like the way Ozymandias thinks in Watchmen. Like, we need to destroy this smaller yet 3 million people in New York to save for the greater good. The greater good.
The greater good. No, it definitely. Well, it's kind of like, here. Like I'm not a fan of like hunting. I don't think I could shoot an animal. I just don't think I have that in me. One of the reasons why I quit eating meat for a long time, and I've dabbled before with not eating meat again. If you wouldn't go out there and shoot it or kill it, I don't know. I find that somewhat hypocritical. That's my personal view. That's just me, but. The thing is, here we have so many deer. We have we have a lot of fatalities in Tennessee for people hitting deer on the road. It's really bad. So when deer hunting season comes, I mean, I'm like, hey, I hate it. Necessary evil. That is a fucking totally necessary evil. I know you. I mean, I know myself included. I know every single person I know has probably hit a fucking deer at some point, and it's a necessary evil. When the what does he say? When the forest becomes kangaroos. Yeah, there you go. When the forest gets too thick, the fire is inevitable. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I get it to a certain extent, when something gets big enough, like they said, like Rome or London, or whatever, like inevitably the fire rises. I really dig that.
No, for sure, dude. But yeah, essentially Wayne blows up the entire monastery, and we think that Raz is dead, right? Flaming pieces of structure collapses on him, and Raz is crushed and killed. And I remember as a kid, I'm just like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
I could believe it because he's such a minor character to non-Batman fans, but like once you get to know the comics and animated films and shit like that, you're like, dude, I mean, the Lazarus Pit and Ra's al Ghul are like a huge part of Batman mythos.
Well, is this okay? Like, here's something. Is this the first movie before Iron Man 3 to pull the Mandarin stunt?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Think about it.
Maybe. In terms of comic book film, yeah, probably. But I mean, as any kind of film, like, no, I feel like there was definitely.
There must have been, right? I mean, like, I'm only saying because you've got Ken Watanabe who would play an awesome fucking Ra's al Ghul, right? I mean, if you gave him like all the actual Ra's stuff, and then he's kind of like killed off.
Keegan-Michael Key. From Key and Bill.
Yeah, but then, you kind of give it to Liam Neeson, who's the bigger actor, right? Whereas, Iron Man 3, spoilers for Iron Man 3, Ben Kingsley is an actor, and you got Guy Pearce, who's the actual Mandarin. I don't know. I think Iron Man 3 kind of got it a little bit worse because all the marketing and the promos and stuff actually had Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. So, yeah. And
what I really dig is when you realize that Descartes is Ra's al Ghul. When you're looking at like the comic book, you're like,
whoa, fucking spoilers, dude. What the fuck? Come on, man.
Oh, fuck you. When you're looking at the comic book, it's like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Like, he actually, when you look at like Ra's al Ghul from the comic books and stuff, you're like, yeah, he looks a little bit more like Liam Neeson in this than Ken Watanabe,
Yeah, like he's like a tall, sort of like lanky guy. Yeah, I get you. Right. So, dude, by the way, when he's like racing on his belly to save Descartes, and he like gets him like just in time, his arm is gone. Like the way it bends, dude. What the fuck? Oh, man.
And like the sound design is pretty cool because I'm pretty sure you can hear like the click, like the snapping of something when it's like, oh god, like that really sucked. But I love the fact that, I mean, he kind of does like bicep curl him up, but after that he just kind of has to like just lean with your body weight.
Captain America helicopter scenes him, yeah.
Right. But I love the fact that, he has to just use his body weight to like throw him up there. But I like Bale's just like, you can tell he's like fucking exhausted. It's like, cool. I like that. That's not just like, oh man, yeah, I'm really tired. It's like, no, this is fucking excruciating. Absolutely. I was like, okay, cool. I dig that.
100%. I do. And I do like that he saved him. Right? Like, I buy this mentorship. Like, even though it's been told to us through montages and stuff, I buy this. I buy this sort of relationship here. And like, he leaves him to recover in like a Sherpa hut and stuff, but whatever. So after a total period of 7 years, according to Alfred, Bruce returns to Gotham City in a private jet from Kathmandu to show the citizens that, quote, their city doesn't belong to the criminals and the corrupt. To be most effective, he decides to be a symbol in order to be incorruptible. Something elemental, something terrifying. And I remember that was the first time I was introduced to Batman as a symbol and not just a crime-fighting guy in a cape, right? Like, that was super interesting to me. Even as a child, even as a 12-year-old, I was like, oh, I really, really like that. Like that, I like that Batman is bigger than just one person.
Right, which is, I mean, why I'm a huge fan of the Dark Knight Rises takes a lot of pages out of the Dark Knight Returns comic book, just in terms of like there being no Batman for 10 years and then somebody else taking up the mantle and Batman being older and stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, and spoiler alert for Dark Knight Returns, fucking comic book from 4 years before I was even born. But, the passing on to the mantle of the fact that like this one person inspired many. So like, let's break the mythos of this is just one man hunting the whole city. It's like, no, this is a police force now. Like, this is a group of people. And I was like, cool. Like, I really dig that, because you got to think, and they kind of touch on that in Dark Knight with the copycats and stuff.
Yeah.
But, in Dark Knight Returns, like, he straight up like monopolizes on that. He's like, I'm too old to be Batman. I can't keep doing this shit. He's like, but if you guys are ready and willing, he's like, we can get this town like back in working order. And you kind of see that similarly with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which I would actually like.
The Dark Knight ends up taking this concept, right? Like that Batman is a symbol, and kind of like flips it on its head. Like, in order to save Harvey Dent and to save the future of this city in terms of politics and in terms of where it's going to go, I need to turn this Batman symbology into something evil because it's necessary.
Symbology?
Symbology? Isn't that a word?
Symbolism?
Symbolism? Symbology? Whatever. Fuck's sake.
Dude, you've never seen Boondock Saints, have you?
No.
Oh, there's a whole joke in there about that. I'll let you find it.
Fuck. But yeah, no, that's what's so masterful, I think, about The Dark Knight and the way that movie ends. But yeah.
Symbology. No, I'm just kidding.
I think, isn't that a thing? Cause,
I'm Googling it. I'm
right,
fucking Googling it. Here we go.
Because I believe in like Dan Brown's like novels, like, Da Vinci Code and stuff, Tom Hanks's character is a symbologist. Maybe that's I don't know.
Symbologist?
Yeah.
Symbology, the study or use of symbols.
Yes. Eat my dick.
Oh, fuck you.
My dick. But anyway, so Rachel Dawes is the new city DA, right? Assistant DA. And she's becoming increasingly frustrated by the rulings made by Arkham Asylum psychiatrist Dr. Jonathan Crane, played by Cillian Murphy, regarding Falcone's thugs. The corrupt doctor was obviously paid off by Falcone to move the criminals from jail to the asylum. Basically, he keeps putting forward the argument that these guys are insane and not actually responsible for their acts. And, we've talked about Jonathan Crane already and Cillian Murphy. He's fucking awesome, dude. Love this guy. Anytime he appears in a movie, he's always so good. By the way, did you see the trailer for A Quiet Place Part 2?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Meanwhile, Bruce investigates the well where he was attacked by the bats and discovers a vast bat cave. And this moment's cool, man. Like, just the bats kind of like swirling around him. Cool shit.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, this definitely feels like with that last shot that we get of him. At first he's kind of scared. He stands up. The camera is going farther and farther back to the point like he's standing there and they're all just flying around him. But when the camera pulls back and the on the last frame, like where it's going to cut, like that looks like concept art.
Insane,
like that definitely
right?
looks like, right. It looks that looks like something somebody was like, hey, I've got this idea, work with me on this. And the transition of it too, of the bats all fluttering the camera and it cutting to Crane and Falcone. I was like, dude, I fucking love that. That's really, really, really good.
So fucking good, dude. But yeah, so essentially Bruce Wayne makes his appearance known to the larger city. He returns to the Wayne Enterprises. I love him like playing golf with his secretary. and he talks to Bill Earl, right? And he says, well, I need a job. And he says, well, what do you have in mind? And he's like, well, I've been thinking about applied sciences. And he's like, Fox's department. I'll get you in touch. And we meet Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, chief inventor, gadget guru, head of R&D. Fox shows Wayne some of the prototypes he's previously developed, including a grappling gun and experimental armored survival bodysuit. Yeah, I don't... At this point, I'm kind of asking myself, so what does Wayne Enterprises do?
Right, yeah, like, I kind of... Well, and for one thing, Lucius Fox, like the black Nikola Tesla.
Like, nice it.
No, go ahead.
Did you just hear the stroke that I just had? I said,
yeah, I was kind of like, what is he doing?
What?
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like a guy running from a DUI on a crosswalk. I'm just gonna plow that kid down and keep going. I'm just gonna fucking keep running and act like this never happened.
Wow.
You ever try to say jelly bean and say belly Jean?
No.
I do that shit all the time. I'm like, do I smell toast? Am I dying? Like, what the fuck is going on?
My left arm is going limp because I'm having a heart attack.
Symbolism. No.
Symbology, dick.
No, the thing that, at first, because I wonder if they're just like a general, like, hey, I know Thomas Wayne worked at the hospital. You know, it seems like a company that got into something like, I don't know, let's say they sold fucking medical equipment or whatever, just as an example. And then they acquired another company to do this and another company to do that. And eventually they just seemed like a company like Disney. Like they started off doing one thing, but then they snagged up a bunch of other small companies that maybe didn't have anything to do with what they started with. They just seem like a conglomerate now. They seem like I don't know if there's anything specific that they do. But what the thing that cracks me up is like, you know, again, I don't understand, like, you know, the thing with Earl, the only thing that I can get that makes him somewhat villainous is at this board meeting when he's like, I think we need to stop worrying about what Thomas Wayne would have done 25 years ago, and blah, blah, which is a totally fucking not a bad call at all. Like, does Disney give a fuck about what Walt Disney thought about 30 years ago? Probably not. You know, it's like, I don't even think he was alive 30 years ago. But the thing is, like, I just don't see, you know, it's not totally illogical what he's talking about. He's like, hey, you know, we're picking up, we're moving on. It kind of seems like they're going like the Stark route. Like, we're making weapons and we're selling weapons because we're huge and we can make a shit ton of money off of doing it. And in that, I just wish they had elaborated on it a little bit more. I don't mind this one line, but it's not enough for us to end the movie on him getting fired and be like, oh, fucking burn. You know, I don't know. I didn't really feel anything from this. I would have rathered of him if they'd have been like, yeah, Earl knew, or like somehow, you know, Earl knew that they were going to hit the ship and take the weapon, you know, the vaporizer, but he let them do it for insurance reasons, or I don't know, something, you know, make him somewhat more villainous, because it's
weird. And especially because you have a guy, like you have an actor as esteemed as Rutger Hauer playing him. Like, it seems like he should have been given a bit more to do.
Or if Bruce Wayne had come back and he was like, hey, I want to run the company now, and Rutger Hauer pulled an Obadiah Stane and was like, hey, this guy's mentally unfit, we're filing an injunction. Cool. Now you give him a reason to not like him. But I mean, just because he wants to take a company in a different direction and he's kind of a dick to Lucius doesn't make him the corporate bad guy. You know, it didn't really do anything for me.
Can you imagine if Rutger Hauer just starts going, Bruce Wayne built this in a cave with a box of scraps?
Which, I mean, fucking is technically not wrong. No. You know, he definitely built this shit in a cave. Right. Well, literally. I'm not Bruce Wayne, sir. No, but yeah, I like seeing Rutger Hauer in this, and I feel like that's a Blade Runner throwback, because I remember reading something where Nolan sat everybody down for Dark Knight in a screening room, and they watched Heat and Blade Runner back to back, and nice. He's like, that's how this movie's gonna go. And I was like, wow, you literally pulled, I mean, probably two of my favorite films, if not my two favorite films, out, like two of the best films ever made, and show those. And I mean, you made The Dark Knight, which is, I mean, I think The Dark Knight deserves to be up there with Heat and fucking Blade Runner. Absolutely. I really do. I think it does an absolutely great job.
Absolutely. And you can definitely see the shades of Heat in The Dark Knight for sure. But yeah, turning back to this piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. We re-meet Sergeant Jim Gordon, right? Like, because he kind of had the younger look going on in the flashbacks after they caught Joe Chill. And this is essentially a newly outfitted Batman without the cowl, obviously. I love the way he goes up to him with the stapler. And he says that Falcone's like paid up with the right people, right?
Right. What will it take to bring Falcone down? You need dirt on Judge Faden, which is that redheaded, like, the fattest, most Irish-looking dude in the world. The judge is just like, well, I'm basically a big rock with legs. Like, that's what he looks like to me. like his head is so big. He's like a redheaded Ted Kennedy. He's just this fucking huge guy. I don't really think it's that funny, but you're laughing. It's fucking making me laugh.
He looks like what Clayface would look like.
He fucking does, dude. He really does. Like, he looks like he's kind of like looks like he's always sweating way too much. Like
he's like constantly pink.
Yeah,
like when he's in that dinner club and he's like surrounded by those bitches. He's like,
yeah, he's very just like he looks like he's always constipated. I don't know why. Oh, that's fucking funny, dude.
Dive, dude.
Oh, that's fucking funny, man.
All right, man. Oh shit. So, Wayne learns more about Fox's inventions, including the memory fabric and an armored combat car. This is the tumbler. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about the memory. What is a memory cloth? What do you think about this? Do you like this?
You know, I'm gonna.
I don't need a reason for everything, Christopher Nolan. I just don't. I'm sorry.
Right? No, I don't mind that. The thing that makes way less sense to me than anything, and somebody would shoot me for saying this, is Batman's cape. Who needs a fucking ditch the cape? Ditch the fucking cape. Like, that is a huge liability to have this thing flowing behind you. It can be grabbed or slammed into the ground, or like, I don't know if this is in a movie or something, but like,
Incredibles.
I
just quoted it.
Oh, I've never fucking seen it.
There is an amazing scene where I'm just going to quickly run through this. I know you're about to say something. I'm just like, so he goes to the costume designer and she goes to say, she goes to design the costume and he's like, yeah, and a cape, it should be good. And she's like, no capes. And then like we get this like quick little montage of like other superheroes have been killed via their capes. Like literally one gets stuck in an elevator. One is like flying next to a plane and then like the cape gets stuck in a jet engine while the plane's in the air. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like fucking Dollar Bill and Watchmen got his cape stuck in a revolving door.
Right.
That's why I love, if you put a gun to my head and you were like, you have to pick one Batman costume forever and ever and ever, amen, I would say
Batman
with
Beyond.
cape, Batman Beyond, like with cape, Dark Knight Returns power armor for sure. But
nice.
If I'm going like, dude, the way it just makes sense, like the kind of thing that he has between his armpit and his ribs, like, you know, that seems like it could help facilitate like a nice glide. Yeah, it's like a glide suit, you know? But yeah, the whole, I don't know, the cape never really made much sense to me. That's why I love Batman Beyond. It just, all that seems very like utilitarian. It seems like something like tight and there's not a whole lot of fat to be trimmed on it.
It just fits in with the future aspect of what they're going in for, right?
Right. The whole Batman cape seems like a Dracula kind of thing, like to strike the fear and just this black mass flying through the sky. Like that is more terrifying and I get it. But like, as far as functionality, it's like, that is so fucking like, that is so not conservative at all. Like you get so fucked up doing that shit.
For sure. What did you think of the tumbler first time you saw it? Do you remember what you thought when you first saw it?
I think I didn't mind it. I was just like, man, that is really ugly, you know?
I remember there being a lot of backlash. Even as a 12-year-old, I remember hearing a lot of like, that's not the Batmobile.
Right, yeah. And like, I think that, I think that Ben Affleck's Batmobile is a cool compromise between style and functionality. It's big, it's bulky, but it's also like aerodynamic and fast and kind of, it seems very fluid. ultimately, I think I like the one in Arkham Knight probably the best.
Ooh,
That
nice.
one's pretty fucking cool. It can switch to that battle mode and stuff.
Yeah, you know what? That one was so cool that the designers of that game specifically made missions that were way too, fucking Batmobile centric.
Yeah, and I mean, and I have like all the fucking skins in Arkham Knight. Like I beat the fuck out of that game. But it's cool riding around in like the '89 Batmobile or like Batflex or whatever is cool. But nothing beats riding around in that Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight Batmobile. That's the one's probably my favorite.
I do like the Tumbler. Its shape is weird and like it's so drastically different from what's come before, and I think that's what Nolan definitely had in mind. I'm not sure if I like the whole him having to go down into the center of it to shoot the missiles. Like that's a weird concept. And I do like the Bat Pod is part of this whole design. Like I like that, the bike. That's pretty cool. But
yeah.
So then we get the dock sequence, right? This is the first reveal of Batman as a character, as a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, talk to me about this scene, dude.
Well, yeah, I feel like this one's pretty iconic now, just because it feels like a precursor to a lot of stuff, like the first episode of Daredevil, like being in the shipping containers on the dock, like kind of stuff. I really dig that. I don't like the guy wildly shooting the MP5 in the air, but like, where are you?
Dude,
here,
yeah, that's rough.
I think a much better version of this scene is the one in Dark Knight Rises when the power goes out in that tunnel and everybody starts shooting and you just see Batman like glimpses of him like over here and then over there and then he's like right in front of the camera. You're like, good God, that's fucking scary. But I do think it's pretty cool because you got to think none of these people, from here on out, people are going to be like, oh, you got to watch the sky, watch for Batman. These people have no idea what's fucking going on. They're like, dude, this could be the thing from Jeepers Creepers for all we know. Like, what the fuck is happening and what the fuck is picking us apart? But I do like that. I think it's pretty cool just seeing him swooping in and just picking these guys off one by one. Definitely did that a time or two in Arkham Knight, but I like the reveal, Carmine Falcone, or is it Carmine Falcone? Who's the Carmine? Who's the guy in Dark Knight that takes his place? It's a name like Falcone.
Yeah, it's no, I'll get it for you. Just keep talking.
Okay, yeah, I know it's Eric Roberts is the actor, but I always get Falcone and that guy confused. But no, the whole thing of picking the guys off and kind of just hiding and waiting and having to bide your time. I really, really dig that. The fact that this is not just like a full frontal assault, but
Salvatore
Maroni, there you go.
And the other one is Dietrich Spaghetti.
Spaghetti? Who the fuck is that?
Spaghetti.
Dietrich Spaghetti is like, Spaghetti, is that? No, the whole thing with Falcone being like, what the hell are you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, again, I don't need that. Yeah. It just seems like there's a lot of setups to some like very obvious one-liners that are coming. But all in all, I dig this scene though. I like the costume. I like the fact that there's this costume and then there's Dark Knight, and Dark Knight just holds over into Dark Knight Rises. There's not like another upgrade. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. Because that Dark Knight one is pretty much perfect.
Right, yeah, and I can't believe it took them this long. Even in Batman, even this movie, he can't turn his fucking head. Yeah. It's like, how are people not thinking of this? Like that the cowl needs to be separate from the neckline. Like none of that makes sense. But all in all, I dig the Batman Begins suit, if not just because it makes him look a lot bigger and intimidating. But when the Dark Knight one comes out, it looks like you couldn't possibly get a shot off on that suit. You're like, oh fuck, this dude's in like power armor,
No, absolutely, and it looks like he's got abs as well. Like it's a thing. Yeah. No, I do like the scene, man. I love the infiltration element of it all. Like it reminds me a lot of like Arkham Asylum, the first game. Like it's fucking awesome, and I love the Batarang coming down and like hitting the lights and. It's a cool build up. I like it. This is obviously, we've met Flass already, right? The big greasy, the greasy guy, the most greasiest of them all. Basically, what's happening here is Falcone's receiving this shipment of drugs, and this is Batman intercepting that shipment. This is just going to play in a bit later because obviously we come to find out that this. shipment of drugs is laced with the flower hallucinogen, right? That's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Flass is so shitty. Flass is just a piece of shit. But yeah, I'm Batman. And by the way, dude, Batman can't fly, right? Like, this is a thing. We know this. So when he says, I'm Batman, he just goes directly up into the air. What the fuck?
He's being, like, abducted by aliens.
Like, there's a fucking UFO up there. But yeah, so he also foils an assassination attempt on Rachel's life. This is scary, dude. Like, this, by the way, Rachel, why are you catching this monorail at this time and walking through this area? Because, man, like, the way this guy just, like, creeps through those doors, like, he just leaps up and just exits. Tell you what, though, one of my favorite shots in this entire movie is she turns around, shoots the taser, and Batman's just there on that railing, and he's got the taser fucking wire on his chest. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, he's just kind of coiled up in the corner. He's like, "Sup, bitch?"
Because it's the first shot. It's the first time you see it in full light. Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, he foils that assassination attempt. He provides her with photo evidence of Judge Faden, aka Clayface, aka Red Rock, whatever, on Falcone's payroll. Shortly later that night, Sergeant Gordon finds Falcone strapped to a searchlight, right? Forming a bat-shaped signal in the sky from the beam of light. Pretty cool because, you know, Sergeant Gordon, he's the only clean cop. Like, obviously, you know, we come to know him later as Commissioner Gordon, but I love I love the way Gary Oldman plays this. And by the way, we fucking missed out. Gary Oldman is in this cast.
Right. Well, he plays such a small role compared to the next ones, you know? It's kind of, you know, his scenes are, you know, it kind of seems like he's maybe got like 10 scenes, you know? It doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot. It feels like Rachel has more going on than Gordon.
Sadly. But I like how cynical he is, right? Like, when he rocks up to this crime scene, he's like, you know, one of the other cops is like, well, yeah, we've got like Falcone's drugs. And he's like, well, too bad we can't tie them to him. And then he's like, well, no, you just don't speak too soon, right? And there's Falcone. The next day, headline talks about the masked vigilante. Bat serves up crime boss. DA Rachel Dawes was able to successfully prosecute against Falcone, although she was surprised by Bruce Wayne's reappearance in town, living a profligate life. They remit, rather. Bruce, we have more hotels for you to buy.
Oh yeah, the scene with him in the hotel, and I'm making some changes to the swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this stuff. Like, see, I know Bruce Wayne's supposed to be a dickhead. Like, I get that. I don't know if I like these in either of these movies, in any of these movies.
See, I don't know. I like the thing at the end because it seems like, I don't know, in order to really get people's attention, people don't really pick up on subtlety sometimes. But, you know, I think when he's just going above and beyond to make sure, I think somebody who would be as trained and who would have a good eye, just like Batman would be like, why is this guy being so loud? Like, something's different. Like, this is not, I don't know, something is off
to
about
throw him
this.
off the trail. Yeah.
Right. I think if Ra's al Ghul were watching Bruce Wayne in a crowd and trying to figure out who's Batman, he'd be like, that's him. That's definitely him. Like, I think he would catch it in a heartbeat. But I also don't want to go past really quick before we get to the hotel, the microwave emitter, the vaporizer that gets stolen off the ship.
Oh, my God. I hate this so much.
Well, for one thing, the guy telling Rutger Hauer looks a shit ton like Christopher Nolan, by the way. Like, I was looking at him and I was like, this is a little weird. But no, you know, I don't hate the scene. You know, it's just kind of setting up, what is this, like a vaporizer? And yeah, it would use to be neutralize an enemy's water supply. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I guess. I like the stuff with the vaporizer though, because it's kind of like, you know, they're dumping the stuff into the water, but we don't really know why. And this, I think if this had happened earlier on, like, hey, this got stolen and we don't know why, and it were something minor, and then later on it would be like, oh shit, the vaporizer, then I think it would hit a little bit more. But, you know, I don't hate it, I guess. It's okay.
It's just so, for me, I don't think I like it because it's just so jarringly different to what Nolan's been setting up this whole movie. This whole, like, sort of like realistic sort of like element of like, this is the world we live in, you know, everything has everything has consequence and everything is grounded and blah blah blah. And then we get this device that this microwave emitter. I don't know. I'm not on board with this. This is the most comic booky element of this entire movie, and it's not that bad. It's just for me, it just seems so jarringly out of place.
Oh, sorry. This is where I could see a scene of him going to Rutger Hauer and being like, "Hey, this thing has been stolen," and he's like, "It's all okay," and he's like, "Well, what do you mean this thing? I know it's okay." And seeing like Rutger Hauer being like a part of it, then I can understand that. Like it would make a little bit more sense to me. But as is, like it's okay. It's just meh, whatever. You know, it kind of gives us a reason to hate Rutger Hauer more. But in this, he gets to play like a little bit more of a victim kind of thing.
Yeah. We get to Scarecrow, right? We actually see the Scarecrow for the first time. This is Dr. Jonathan Crane, I guess, speaking to Falcone. This is the scene you were talking about where it's just like blah, blah, blah. Scarecrow scared the shit out of me, man, when I was a kid. I'm not even fucking kidding. The just how sudden this scene plays out, and he's just like, "You want to have a look at my mask?" Pulls it out, puts it on, sprays him, and then just the voice change and everything, dude. Oh, it's great. I love it. What do you think about this?
Yeah, well, I love the visual of just like a dude in a suit with a mask on, you know? Like, I don't mind the way he looks in Arkham Knight, but he just looks like a techno rave kid from like Letterkenny. I don't know. There's nothing really about him in Arkham Knight that's really like scary to me. But in this, like the kind of, I think he can barely see out of fucking like one eye. Like it's not a very, I don't know. It to me, it strikes me as not a very like useful kind of like thing compared to right. It's not practical at all, but the whole the look of the mask is just great. How tattered and kind of fucked up it looks, and the mouthpiece and stuff. It is terrifying and not, you know, it's a lot less scary when it's some dude running around in a fucking Scarecrow outfit and like hay falling out of his pockets. But it's a lot scarier when it's a dude in a suit who's just like, you know, that's a normal dude, but with a mask on. And when you add that mask, it just, you know, it fucking adds so many more elements to it. Why do you have that on? What are you doing? Like, what's happening here? I really dig that.
No, absolutely, dude. And I like the whole element of Scarecrow essentially being the reason for making his inmates insane. Like, you know what I mean? I like that he's kind of like the master of their own mental state. I really, really dig that part of it. But yeah, so this is the scene. We move on to the scene where Batman questions Floss, right? Floss, I got kids to feed. What, they don't like falafel? You piece of shit.
Oh, that's it's such a shitty line, but I always laugh my ass off at that, though.
Son of a bitch. Mirror brother fucking killer. That scene, dude. But yeah, this is the origin of the voice, right?
Oh, God.
Whew.
Yes. This is...
Where are the other drugs going?
Oh, God. And it's a great scene, too, of him just pulling him up, like...
It looks
him
great.
Snatching up
like the rain?
Yeah, well, him snatching up Newman from Seinfeld is fucking great. I like all this. And I don't mind the line delivery of, like, swear to God, no, swear to me. Like, I am your God right now. Like, I'm the one holding your life in my hand. Why are you swearing to somebody else? And it's like, I love all the dialogue and stuff, but... you know, yeah, but the shipment was, you know, blah, blah, blah. The shipment was held off for a couple of days. Why? And it's like, I don't really, you know, I don't know. I just don't need it, man. I can see doing a version of it of like, you know, I don't know. There's something else there besides this kind of thing like that. You know, I just don't need it. And not to mention the hell that would play on your vocal cords after a while of having to do that take after take after take after take. Like, God, dude, that just dries your throat out real quick.
Well, quick little side tangent, dude. This is Christian Bale's first movie immediately after The Machinist. And if you haven't seen The Machinist, it's a great movie, but also, man, Christian Bale's physicality in that movie, he is god-awfully and scary thin, like super thin. So literally these two movies are a year apart, which is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. You know, eating a can of tuna and an apple a day, you know, and well, and he said he won't do that shit anymore. You know, he's really fucked himself up, I think.
Yeah.
But jumping from Machinist to Batman Begins, and then from Batman Begins to, I can't remember what came out next. But I know that which one came out first? Dark Knight Rises or American Hustle?
I think it went from The Dark Knight to The Fighter.
Fighter,
and then after The Fighter was The Dark Knight Rises, and then after that was American Hustle.
Right, and then Vice,
Fuck me, Vice, dude. And then after Vice, Ford v Ferrari. Like, whoa, are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, so he questions Flass about what was hidden in one of the created drug shipments, and he learns the drop-off point was in the Narrows. It's supposed to go to the guy in the Narrows. Yeah, that's it. Right, he lets Flass down, and dude, I love the visual of just the rain coming off the cowl, like off the nose in particular. It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Batman in snow or Batman in rain always looks really good.
Beautiful. All right, man. That's about halfway. What do you reckon about taking a break right here?
Sounds good to me, man.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Batman Begins. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever the hell you are. Thanks so much for listening to this episode, guys. Just while we're taking a quick break here, I am going to plug some shit. No, it's not advertising. It's nothing paid. It's basically just kind of self-masturbatory stuff. Basically, follow us. Follow us on our socials. We have 2 pages on Facebook called Midnight Double Feature, obviously, and then we have our main group, which is called The After Party, which is fantastic. Our community loves to engage there, and that's our main way to communicate with our audience. Please follow The After Party. That's a fantastic page. And please follow us on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. You can listen to us anywhere on iTunes, anywhere on Spotify, on YouTube, wherever. And if there's no way that you can listen to us on your device, please let us know by getting in touch with us. You can do that by sending us an email, which is midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Now, last but certainly not least, please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. We would love to get your guys' feedback, whether it's positive or negative. Just please remember to, put a star and let us know in your little speech bubble thingy what you think of us and where we can improve. That would be fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for listening to my little rant here, and back to the show, I guess. See you later.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Coming at you with our second part of the coverage of Batman Begins here, because we are freshly squeezed, as we always like to say. Zohab guided you beautiful babies through the first half. I'm going to take it through the second half and take it down to Fucky Town. So whenever where we picked up is kind of where Batman was interrogating Newman from Seinfeld, and he tells him that the drugs are coming through the Barrens from Stephen King's It.
Nice.
Hello, Batman. Hello, Newman.
Oh, shit. I was not expecting that.
So, yeah, he tells him that the drugs are coming in from the Narrows. Batman decides to take a trip down there. We also get, just really quickly, they kill the head DA. They kill Rachel's boss,
yeah,
which
the
is
district attorney, which is ballsy, by the way. Right? I mean, like...
Yeah, yeah.
If you're just killing fucking district attorneys, you are wanting a whole lot of police attention. But I guess it's fine if you have half the police force in your pocket. So,
well, it's hilarious because earlier there's a scene where he's like, can we kill this pretty looking DA without causing a whole bunch of stir? He's like, oh, accidents happen every day. So basically saying like, yes, it's doable, but this won't be just like killing some guy. This is going to be a lot harder. So when the DA is like, hey, open that up. Well, now you're kind of forced. You have to fucking kill him. It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, God, that's a lot of heat. That's a lot of fucking heat to lay down. Especially
I'm just thinking, dude, like this is the equivalent of killing Harvey Dent in the next movie, because Harvey Dent is the DA.
Right.
So it's just like, whoa, okay, no worries.
Right, you bring a lot of unnecessary heat on you for this.
But you can tell, like, these two guys that guide him to the container, you can tell they want to avoid that from happening, right? Because he's like, this is Falcone's crate, we don't want to open it, and
right, he's like, I don't want to know what's in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, they shoot Carl, I believe is fucking whatever his name is. They shoot him as Batman makes his way down to the Narrows, and he's kind of looking in. Now, is this the part where I think we already went past it with the little kid from Game of Thrones. No,
Joffrey.
it's right here.
Yeah, no, it's here. It's here. Yeah, it's fucking
cool.
Seriously, dude. Like, it's just like, I wish Batman had fucking snuffed this little cunt's lights out. Right? But yeah, so, and by the way, he just gives him like this thing. Like, this looks expensive as fuck. Like, if I was this kid, I wouldn't show it. Like, I wouldn't just have it just to show my friends. I would just sell it on fucking eBay, dude. I'm just like, hey,
yeah,
this is going to go for a lot of money.
Why don't you give this to your, like, obviously alcoholic screaming father and have him sell it? But yeah, you know, I dig this little interaction between them, and he kind of, he moves on into the, into the room looking for the drugs. They're being sent through these stuffed animals. I think they're going in two different places, basically, like they're being split up. And that's when Scarecrow comes back with these two henchmen, and they're going to destroy everything. But a Scarecrow kind of catches on. Somebody's been here. I love the way he uses that fear gas. How it's just like the Spider-Man webbing. It's just like it comes out of his hand, and it's or right on the wrist. It's like, that is fucking badass. Like, that's really cool, and it makes sense. You know, it's not like a gun. It's not like something you have to hold. It's something that's like attached to you.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do is stick your hand. It's like, oh, that's fucking cool. And I really dig that.
I love seeing the effects of the gas. Right, like seeing it from the point of view of Batman, who's like looking into the face of the of the Scarecrow mask, and like you can see the bat wings coming out of his mouth. Oh, it looks great.
Ugh. So yeah, fucking Scarecrow sets Batman on fire.
Lighten up.
Don't. God damn it. I fucking hate it. I hate that line.
I love it, dude. Because the music drops out and everything, and he just throws the lighter. It's fucking great. Fuck you.
I'm just like quietly holding the space in between both my eyes on the bridge of my nose. God damn it.
But I love that Batman's like defeated, right? Like, he jumps out the window and he just cries for Alfred.
My favorite shot in this entire movie is after he gets set on fire and he's kind of putting himself out in the puddle. When he runs down that alley, the next shot of him like smoking, slamming into that dumpster is amazing. The way that shot is done is just fucking incredible, and his falling and stuff is like, I love seeing heroes like this, like drugged, on fire, like fucking beat up. Like, that's why I like Logan so much, is because or like the Daredevil TV show, you really get to see this person get their ass beat. But the most touching thing about this whole scene is after, he's like on the roof smoking. He's like, Alfred. When it cuts to him in the car, you can look at Alfred's face like, oh my God, like he's pissed. Yeah. But at the same time, like the oh my God, like what has he gotten himself into? What is that's his son. He raised him.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like therefore, what has my son gotten himself into? And it's like, holy shit.
And this is the first time like one of these movies has dealt with like what this means to Alfred. Like what Bruce Wayne going out as Batman every night means to Alfred.
Right. Well, and the fact that he can't even relate to like help him. He's like, I don't know. Like, and it's fucking great, because the logical thing is, call somebody else who's not the cops. And that's where we get Lucius coming in here, and it makes total fucking sense, and it's perfect, and it's great. And I think it ties all of those really, he kind of knew, but didn't really say anything. But now he's like, kind of off the books. Now he's on the books. I really dig that. After
we find out that Bruce lost 2 whole days, like, what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's been asleep for 2 days, and the look on his face when he's talking and he's like, I've dealt with this. I've dealt with this before. I've been, but it was not this potent before. It's a weaponized hallucinogen. And he's like, you've been hanging out in the wrong clubs. And the look on Bruce Wayne's face with a mouthful of water, he's like, fuck. Like, that's such a good look. But yeah, this is where Fox gets involved. And he's like, I had to call him when I didn't know what was going on. So basically they found, I love that he's like, I cross-referenced your blood with some proteins, blah, blah. Am I supposed to know any of that? No, I just wanted to know how hard it was. That's a fucking great line. I love that. That's fucking funny. It's kind of a play on the trope of like throwing the science-y words at people in movies and expecting them to, it just, nobody really knows what they're talking about. It's just like, cool, that sounds official. I don't know what to tell you.
This is going to be the same director who's going to make Interstellar a few years later, right?
Yeah. So yeah, he gets involved, tells him he's also made an antidote, which is very important. He's like, and I think, does it make you, like, it's where the gas has no effect on you after that, right? I think once you take it, you're good. Is that what I understand? Like, you can't be drugged again?
Yeah, from what I believe, it renders the gas inert.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it makes sense. So he's given the antidote for it. He wakes up. It's also Bruce's birthday today, apparently. He's got all these guests coming over. Rachel's going to go down to, she comes over to bring the birthday present. She's going to go down to the to Arkham Asylum because they're going to move Falcone. And she's, gets her tits in a twist about it for whatever reason. No, I'm just kidding.
She's the worst.
And she's not even really that bad in this, but it just seems kind of tacked on. It just does. Like, she doesn't really have any chemistry with Christian Bale.
Let
and I'm not
the
going to
poor
lie.
bastard enjoy his birthday, you fucking bitch. But no, I'm going to run right into the traps of the fucking demon monster villains in the movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Her and Maggie Gyllenhaal are just, they're okay. I just don't see them having a lot of chemistry with Bruce. There's just something about it that just doesn't, I don't know. But I like that she gives him the arrowhead. That's cool.
That is cool. Is Rachel Dawes a character from the comic?
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, neither do I. Because, I mean, in the original film, it was, what's Kim Basinger's, shit. I'm forgetting.
Vicky Vale.
Vicky Vale. Yeah. So, I mean, I know Vicky Vale's from the comics, but
I'm not sure.
Nerds who are listening to this, can you help us out, please?
Well, I think because it starts with there's I think Vicky Vale is in the comics, and then there's Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of them that jump like back and forth. Yeah, she was. I'm Googling. She was not in any comics before Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. So technically, yeah, she appeared in comic form. However, this is only due to being in a movie adaptation. So now, So yeah, basically she comes and gives him the present. She says she's got to go. She's going to Arkham, and Bruce is like, "Fuck it, I'm out." And they're like, "Hey, you've got guests. You can't do this." He's like, "I don't care. See ya, bye." I love the piano trick to get into the Batcave.
That is cool. Yeah, but I also love like Alfred just kind of like losing his shit at this. Right? He's like, you have a name to maintain, right? These aren't just your guests; they're your father's guests. And man, Michael Caine just sells this so well. Like Michael Caine just fucking kills it as Alfred.
Yeah, I really dig this because now it's at the point of like, Bruce has been drugged and I had to come and get you, and this is your first failure, and right off that first failure, you're going right back out there, and it's like, no, like, dude, you have to maintain some normalcy to keep this facade going. It makes sense from Alfred's standpoint, but so Rachel takes off. This is where we've got again this shit with oh God, I almost said Lewis, and what the fuck is his name? Mr. Earl. Earl going to see Fox and saying that he's merging you with archives. I need all this information on the microwave emitter, and I'm firing you. Why? Why is he firing him?
Didn't you get the memo?
Right. What? Why?
Yeah.
Why does that make any sense? Like, it doesn't make any sense to fire this dude. I don't understand why. Like, maybe if he were like, hey, you lost a microwave emitter or something, it just doesn't make any sense. It kind of seems like, and you know what? I'm firing you because I'm the bad guy, and it's like,
I think that's why. That's stupid. Like, I mean, I think that's why he's firing him, right? Like because he he can expose Earl as losing the microwave emitter, right? Is that not right?
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like that, but I don't feel like that's directly stated though. I don't think that there's like
maybe at the party when Bruce comes back and Bruce finds out that Fox was fired and Earl fired him. Doesn't Fox say that he fired me right after after I found out about the microwave emitter? I think he does.
I don't fucking remember. I can't. Are you talking about at the birthday party when he burns down his own fucking place?
Just before he comes back. Yeah, just before he does that. Because Bruce finds out about the microwave emitter from Fox. So he's like, you're talking about the one that Wayne Enterprises just misplaced.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what kind of threw me off. Is like, yeah, so I guess he's not wanting them to know that they. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. So he's just kind of like covering his tracks.
Yeah.
So basically, this is where he fires Fox, and Rachel is arguing with Scarecrow over over Falcone and saying that she's going to have her own person come in and do an analysis, and they're doing it tonight, not in the morning. And that's where Scarecrow, again, just kind of like with the first DA, it's like, well, if you're going to be this persistent, here we go. This is the route that we're taking.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Cillian Murphy's scary here. Like, even before, he puts on the mask and he's like, okay, no worries. I'll prepare the arrangements for tomorrow. And then she's like, no, we're moving him tonight. And then he's like, okay. And like he pushes the button in the elevator. He scares the shit out of me, dude. Cillian Murphy does.
Right. Well, I mean, this whole thing of her, and it's just kind of all this whole scene of her, them discovering that the Arkham inmates are the ones who are doing the work. Like he's drugging them and having them do the work for, right. And it's like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah. Also,
right. Well,
the dumping, I know you had to show this, Nolan, but it's just funny to me that they're dumping it into literally just like one pipe. Like it just looks funny.
Well, and it's funny. It just goes like straight out into the Gotham harbor. Right. They're like, fuck. Like it just goes right out. They're like, God damn it. I do really, really love the image of him as the elevator doors open and he just sticks that hand out. And I'm like, oh God, that looks so fucking good, man. Yeah. Yes, that's so fucking scary. I really dig it. It's and really what it is the lighting of it. I don't know what it is about the lighting of that scene that looks so good.
Yeah.
But it looks like something like an older film. It doesn't look like something made in 2005, and I really dig that. So she gets drugged. They start interrogating her. All the fucking maggots start coming out of his face, and that's when Batman shows up. The lights get turned off.
I love this moment.
I like this. Yes. Well, and Crane being like, she won't survive. The mind can only handle so much. Blah blah blah. The thing that I like is that all these guys are terrified, but I love if Crane were like, because he doesn't say anything about it. I wish once Crane were like, why are you afraid of? I set this guy on fire and fucking pushed him out a window. Like, I'm not afraid of this guy. Like,
right.
But I really dig this.
Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because he dispatches these guys like super quick. But the thing that, and let's just jump to it, man. The whole fucking reason this scene is amazing is Bat Demon. Like, what the fuck is that thing? Like, that's like the whole, oh my God. Like, talk about making Batman like lethally scary and something that's terrifying. I was like, dude, this is brilliant. And it's really not that much of a costume change. It's just the black mouth and the ears are like now sucked in, like, and the black ooze coming out of the mouth. I was like, what the fuck? And for the beauty of it is how much detail goes into the face and stuff. And I wonder if that's still Christian Bale. I think it probably is, but I couldn't find anything about it. And more than likely it is Christian Bale, but the black shit coming out of his mouth, and then, Dr. Crane can't answer anymore. Dr. Crane's not here right now, but if you'd like to make an appointment.
Holy shit.
And then, dude, as Batman looks up, it looks like he's like he's like sniffing the air around him like a fucking creature. Like, I love that. This whole scene is fantastic. You can buy this figurine, by the way. It's been highly demanded by a lot of people. Really? Apparently, I
didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Patrick Harrington, get on that shit. I know who you are about your figurines.
This leads into this massive car chase, right? This sequence is fantastic. Just for the practical effects and the miniature work, it's beautiful.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the car chase, but also the way that he escapes with all the bats fucking flying around him and just being that means of escape. He gives Rachel to Gordon. Gordon gets out of there. He tells him, because he hasn't given her the two antidotes yet, because she's got to give one to Gordon later on. That's right. But yeah, this all is just leading straight into this chase scene. And this is where we really kind of see. Again, maybe Nolan's not great at the physical action of people, but his car chase scenes have always been on point.
Amazing.
I've never had any problem with any of the stuff that he's done in these movies with the vehicles. I think it's great.
No.
Oh, sorry. I was shuffling in my chair real quick.
No, he does an amazing job. I think this might be my favorite car chase in the trilogy. And yes, I'm including the Dark Knight one. There's something about this one that's just absolutely great. Like, I love the helicopter, like, at the top of the parking lot. I love the way that this starts, with the bats, as you already mentioned. But I love the urgency of it, right? I love like this need to get Rachel back to the Batcave immediately. I love the rooftops. That's all fantastic. That's all miniature work. I got a question for you though, and we won't talk about this scene in like particular detail just because it's all an action scene. So, whatever. I got a question. Why, when he turns the lights off, why turn them back on?
Why turn the what on?
Why turn the lights back on? Because you remember when he's on the highway and like he turns all the lights off and they momentarily like lose him?
Oh, yeah.
Like, why turn them back on?
That's fucking goofy.
Yeah, that's
that
what I'm
whole
saying.
Scene is goofy.
That's what I'm saying. Dude, you have a helicopter looking at you from above with a spotlight. It doesn't matter if you turn off your headlights and every other light. Like, it's still going to be, like, the helicopter's not going to lose you.
Right. Now, if he had something that was just like, hey,
like an
going
EMP?
dark and it like
yeah.
Right, like an EMP. If he was able to like flashbang and blind them or something, like cool, I did that. But no, it's just kind of like, I don't know. It reminds me of like playing peekaboo. There's a Family Guy scene where,
I know what you're going to say.
where he's playing peekaboo and he covers. He's like, "What? Where the devil did he go?" And he's got his eyes covered up. I was like, that's so fucking funny.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
God, no. And well, I mean, and I'm sorry, the first roof that thing lands on, it goes all the way to the bottom and kills everybody in that building.
What is the ceiling made out of, dude?
That fucking made me laugh so hard. I was like, you're talking about this rundown piece of shit fucking area. This building made from old popsicle sticks can hold this goddamn thing up on its roof. I just laughed so fucking hard.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you separate your thinking, then this actually does become a pretty interesting sequence.
Yeah, no, I definitely, once you kind of check your brain at the door, it's a good scene. Yeah, basically, this is where they escape. They're making their way to the Batcave. I love the waterfall ramp. That's pretty fucking cool. And he just barely.
I don't love Rachel. I don't love her.
Oh, God, no. Well, again, because he has to drive and shift his entire upper body to look at her. And I'm like, it's goofy, man. Yeah. It's fucking goofy.
Doesn't hold up.
No. Well, but one detail I do love is once he gets in there, how he just glides down to the table. I was like, cool. I dig it.
That's cool.
But she wakes up. She's been vaccinated. Trust no one. Here's the antidote. One for Gordon to inoculate himself. The other is for mass production. Here's a sedative. When you wake up, you're going to be at home. Crane was just a pawn and need you to be ready. Boom. And that's all you need to know, bitch. No. And I love immediately how he takes the mask off, but we don't see his face because how goofy he would look with the black raccoon rings around his eyes. But it's funny watching that mask get moved. And you see the whole neck and the head parts combined. It's like, that just does not make any sense. Like, that's got to be so uncomfortable.
So bulky.
And how easily it comes off. Like, somebody could just walk up and rip that thing right off his head, But
it's better than fucking Batman Returns.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That was jarring. But yeah, so he commences with the party. Alfred, he's got to take Rachel home. And this is where he's telling you, this is not about thrills and games. You're lost inside. You become a monster. I'm using this monster to help people just like my father did. For Thomas Wayne, helping others wasn't about proving anything to anyone, including himself. It's Rachel, Alfred. She was dying. And it's like, that's it. That's all you need to know. Shut the fuck up, old man. But I love this whole scene. I absolutely love it, of him walking around, and we get a little bit of the company. Hey, how the stock offering go? Oh, all kinds of funds and brokerages. It's all a bit complicated, but our company is safe. And this old woman.
Dude, this is how white people pronounce my name, basically.
Is it Zohaib?
Oh, dude.
Hi, Zohaib.
Zohaib Ali, and I'm like, hey,
God.
It's 5 letters in the first name, 3 letters in the last, completely phonetic.
Right. It's such a fucking easy name. Like, Danny Hartley is harder to pronounce than Zohaib Ali to me. Yeah. Poor guy, he gets fucking Hartle all the time. But I get colon constantly. I get it all the time. Because colon pal,
like colon cancer.
Right, exactly. And it blows my mind that people who actually go by colon. And I'm like, colon is COLON. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Like, doesn't have an I in there. Like, it's so dumb. Anyways, so Bruce, we're reintroduced to Ra's al Ghul. I love, what is the line that he says where he's like, you're not Ra's al Ghul. I saw Ra's al Ghul die. And it just, as soon as he turns around and he just like, or are his methods supernatural? And you're like, oh shit, dude. Like, it's fucking great. Cause again, if you kind of know Ra's al Ghul, looking at Liam Neeson, you're like, God damn, he does look like Ra's al Ghul actually. Like when you kind of think about it.
Yeah. He's like, but is Ra's al Ghul immortal? Are his methods supernatural? Or cheap politics to conceal your true identity, Ra's?
I love, and he's like, yeah, he says, oh, you have a double identity. Surely a man who spends his nights running on rooftops does not begrudge me multiple identities. Like, there's some really good dialogue here between the two of them. That's great. But he says, just don't hurt these people. You're welcome to explain the situation to them. And he kindly tells everybody, get the fuck out. No, this is great.
This is fantastic.
It's cute. It's clever. It's really funny. This is the kind of humor for this movie that sticks with me. And I love the guy who's like, that's enough. Bruce, no, I'm not finished.
Dude,
like,
let me read it for you, ready? It's fucking great. Like, he gets everyone's attention. And he's like, I want to thank you all for coming here tonight and drinking all my booze. No, really. There's a thing about being a Wayne that you're never short of a few freeloaders, like yourself, to fill up your mansion with. So here's to you people. Thank you. I'm not finished. When he gets kicked off, he's like, that's enough, Bruce. I'm not finished. To all of you, all of you phonies, all of you two-faced friends, all of you sycophantic suck-ups who smile through your teeth at me, please leave me in peace. Please go. Dude, my favorite line, stop smiling. It's not a joke. Please leave.
Yeah. Oh, that's fucking good.
Fantastic.
This is where we get the master stroke. Crane is working for you. His toxin is found. It's derived from our blue flowers. He's not a member of a League of Shadows. No, he thought we were going to ransom the city. Okay, small detail, but makes sense. But really, they're going to release the gas onto Gotham City and watch it rip itself apart. Which is just kind of a great idea. It's fucking great. Like no work required, really. Just pour this thing on and just let it, that's fucking
great. I love that idea. I love that there's this society of of trained warriors who just come in and keep the balance. Like, it's fucking cool, man. Like when he talks about it, he's like, we sacked Rome, loaded trade ships with plague rats, burned London to the ground. Every time a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance. Oh, it's good stuff, man.
Well, and the whole thing about balance and shit here, they kind of start getting into it, and the guys start breaking the house and setting stuff on fire, and the log hits him. He's like, you still haven't learned to mind your surroundings, and the log falls on him. He's like, justice is balance. You burn my house and let me for dead. And I was like, that's badass. So yeah, this is where it's all starting to kind of come together. We have Gordon, who's trying to figure out what's going on at Arkham. We've got this place being burned down. Everything's really, really getting to a head here. We may have 30 minutes worth of movie left, probably 15 with credits. Like, there's fucking nothing left. Now, what do you think about this revelation that they tried to destroy Gotham through economics and are inadvertently the ones who caused the Waynes' death? I don't need that. No, I just don't.
Don't need it either. Yeah, it seems wholly unnecessary.
Right. Yeah. And I don't mind what he says. We're like, we tried to, your parents were just happened to be caught in the crossfire of that. But unfortunately, their deaths galvanized, like what should have been a death blow ended up galvanizing Gotham for the next 20 years. Yeah. And it limped along until now. And I was like,
I don't mind that element of it. Yeah. I don't mind the whole, your parents were the ones, it was because of your parents that our plan didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I like that, Batman or Bruce Wayne becoming a hero. There's somewhat like a little bit of a hereditary situation happening here.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely dig that. I like it. I don't know. I like the aspect of like your parents were killed because of their death galvanized like Gotham, but I don't need the whole like we were the ones responsible. We pulled the string. I'm like, nah, I don't really need that. Now, this line. What's the point of doing all them bloody push-ups if you can't pick the log up off you? Great line. But there's so much stuff going on here, and we haven't really talked about this, how great this movie juggles your main plot with these subplots that are kind of going on. We've got Bruce being attacked at Gotham. We've got we've got Gordon at Arkham as all the inmates are being released, and we've got Rachel waking up with the 2 antidotes. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like all of this shit everybody has. That's what I'm saying. Like she kind of plays damsel at some parts earlier on, but at least like she's not a MacGuffin. She's not a plot device towards the end. She has some agency. She's able to fight people off. Like she pretty much saves Gotham. She inoculates Gordon and then gets one to be mass produced. So in case this isn't solvable, at least everybody has a cure. I was like, that's fucking cool. I really dig that. But main winner goes up in main winner.
What? Holy shit,
dude!
Your
I'm telling you,
dude, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, I do that all the time, and I think it's where my brain is constantly like, I think faster than I can talk, so my brain does this Scooby Doo like this kind of like run when I'm trying to talk. Wayne Manor goes up in flames. I like the little elevator ride down on the whole Underground Railroad shit. And Alfred, what have I done, Alfred? Everything my father built, blah blah blah. Hey, well, this is not about there's more to your father's legacy than bricks and mortar. Why do we fall? We fall to pick ourselves back up again. Cool, yeah.
And he you still haven't given up on me. Never. Love it.
Never,
dude. I hate fuss. Like this guy's like, harassment. I see harassment. Maybe you'd like to see some excessive force. What the fuck?
I don't blame him. If I were a cop in the middle of this shit and some guy walked up to me and was like, that's harassment, I'd be like, are you fucking serious? Like, great, you just got deputized. Get your ass out there because this shit is going down like now. Like, oh my God. But so yeah, this is where Rachel barely makes it in. They're raising the bridges. She's trying to get this to Gordon. She does. Gordon's able to inoculate himself a little bit later on, and this is where we see exactly what's about to happen. We see Ra's al Ghul and his guys get out. Time, gentlemen, there's a time to spread the word in this town. And the word is chaos. And I'm like, oh, that's a fucking good line. I really dig that. You
fucked it up.
I know.
The word is panic.
Oh, really? Yeah, shit. My bad.
The word is panic. Unless, there's like a fucking different American version, but the word is panic. Dude, this is also where we meet my favorite, aka my least favorite character in the entire film. This old fuck sitting in the Wayne Tower hub. Oh my God, I hate this guy, dude. Captain Exposition. Dude, the water main is right under the Narrows. If my wife leaves me, it's gonna blow. That shit, I hate this guy so much. Because they cut to him like 3 times, man. And like he keeps delivering the same line. And I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's kind of, man, it's strong-handed, but the one thing as I'm watching this that I really love is Ra's al Ghul's is like his gas mask. I was like, that's fucking cool. I dig that. Like, I like the design of that.
It looks like Loki's face mask at the end of Avengers, the first one.
Right. Well, it always made me think like that's something Batman needs on his face. Like he needs to completely cover, he just needs to completely cover that shit. But yeah, this is where the shit hits the fan. The gas all starts going off. The Narrows are totally fucked up. I like this with Flash as the people start coming down the stairs and he pulls the gun on him. And what I love is Gordon knocks him out, gets the gun away, and puts it, like, handcuffs him up. So what? They come back like 2 hours later and somebody's eating his legs. Like something like that's gonna happen. Like the last thing I would do is handcuff this dude in the middle of all of this stuff so he can't move. He's fucking dead. That's why he's not in the second one because he's fucking dead. Like somebody came and just. Right? Yeah, he's literally being fucking eaten.
No, actually, he should be in the second one because there's a lot of him to go around.
Yeah. So yeah, Rachel, she ends up fighting the fucking little asshole kid from Game of Thrones. A lot of people were like, "Oh, is that Robin? Is that gonna be Robin?" And it's like, no, you fucking idiot! Like, Jesus
it's
Christ.
Okay. Don't worry, because there's a worse Batman. Sorry, there's a worse Robin coming at the end of fucking Dark Knight Rises. So it's fine, Nolan. We'll save that for you.
That's so unnecessary,
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
Like, who? Like, why? Why in the world would that be tacked on? Like, it makes no sense. It's so fucking stupid.
I really hate it.
But I tell you what, I hate it. But I tell you what, I fucking love is Scarecrow on horseback.
Oh
Holy
my
shit.
God, dude! I love the flaming. Like seeing it from their point of view. Holy shit, that looks awesome.
Oh, dude, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. I'm like, holy
Crane?
shit.
No, Scarecrow.
Oh man. Well. Sorry, I was taking a sip of my energy drink.
Just quickly, sorry, we just kind of blew past a little bit. I love, the bridges kind of going up, and Gordon's calling for the riot police, and Commissioner Loeb's like, no, Gordon, all the city's riot police is on the island with you, and just in the background, dude, you just see the fucking Batmobile just fly past into that over the bridge. Oh, it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, there's no one else left to send. It
so
just
cool.
like takes off
so
fast.
Heroic.
Well, one thing I love is the whole, like, do you know the story of Sleepy Hollow pretty well? The Headless Horseman and stuff. Ichabod Crane.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like seeing this Crane guy on horseback.
Oh, nice.
I was like, that's pretty neat. But yeah, he gets tasered in the face.
I hate this so much. This is the last time you see him.
Right. It's weird as he's the only one to show up in all three, but he's like a major player in the first one. But yeah. He gets tasered in the face and scared off. The whole thing of like her getting cornered and she's got the gun and the inmates are closing in, but Batman just so happens to show up at the right time to save them. And I was like, no, she needs to start like blah, 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 blah. Like I would start blasting on people. Yeah, fuck this shit, dude. But no, Batman ends up saving them. He gets them to the rooftop. The image of him flying over the people and the demon like face, like the red eyes, like holy shit.
Of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking great. But the whole thing of him, I don't think we've gotten to that part yet. Never mind, actually. The part where he gets tackled and all the people are like on top of him and he can't get off and he just latches onto the train and like goes flying out of there. It's fucking great.
That one guy who holds
he's like, oh fuck, I should have let go a long time ago.
Shit.
But before that, this is where, he confronts Ra's al Ghul. He's like, you don't think I can take on two of your guys? And he's like, very well. And he drops two more down. He's like, oh fuck, why did I say something? Yeah, so this is where they take it to the ground level. He gets kind of excuse me. Sorry. I tried to hold it in so bad. But yeah, they all start cornering him, and I don't blame them. He looks like, Jesus Christ, he's lucky he didn't get fucking eaten himself. But yeah, they all corner him as Ra's al Ghul starts riding the train into the Old Town Road, and he hops a ride with it as he has he given the keys to the Batmobile to Gordon yet?
Yeah. Just fuck it. Okay. Just say it. It's here. It's what happens.
Well, yeah. So Gordon's got the Batmobile. He's going to go try to derail the train as Batman rides along. Obvious fight breaks out on the train as it's going on. Now, I think it's Batman is the one who stabs up the control center, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the one who like stabs it up because he doesn't want it to stop.
Right, exactly.
Right. I think it's fucking. Now, let me ask you this: like this whole fight, I think is really neat. I like it. I especially compared to some of the physical stuff that Nolan does later on in these movies. And I like seeing. There's something about seeing Gordon in the Batmobile that just makes me happy. Yeah. I don't know what it is
because he's just having so much trouble driving it. Like he's like sideswiping cars and shit. He's like, oh, sorry.
Right. Now this whole fight takes place. Gordon shoots out the beams.
Sorry, my apologies. Did we pass the revelation that the revelation to Rachel that Bruce is Batman? It's not who
we did.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck it. Hey, no. You said fuck it, man. We're here. No takesies, backsies.
That's the one story that I didn't want to pass.
Right. No, that's a good, because that's actually, I said off air, that's my favorite line in the movie. It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. I think it's great. Actions speak louder than words,
super superhero-y.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God. Yeah. But, this whole thing with, I keep wanting to call him Ducard because I like the name Henry.
I like it too.
Because I always thought it was Henry Ducard. Like when I was a kid, I thought he was saying my name is Henry Ducard, not my name is merely Ducard. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, Henry Ducard. It's interesting.
He does say my name is merely Ducard, but his name is Henry Ducard.
Oh, okay, never mind. There, I'm just hearing that wrong. But no, I what do you think about this ending here? So he beats Ra's al Ghul. He stops the train. I don't have to save you. Right. I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you either.
So this is something that comes up all the time, dude. In every iteration of Batman after this movie, this argument always comes into play. You got Batfleck's Batman who is killing people left, right, and center. Even like when Superman like twists Zod's neck in Man of Steel, this always comes up. Now, I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent to it. Like I like it. I like the whole I don't have to. Sorry, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, because Batman has a strict rule of like, I'm not going to kill. Yet at the same time, the next film, The Dark Knight Rises, takes that one rule and makes it gospel. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Joker's entire sort of like arc in the third half of that movie is I'm gonna get Batman to break his one rule. Right, like Joker is relying on Batman not going to kill him. Like, you know what I mean? So it's so weird that it's kind of like flip flop here.
Right. Well, I think that somebody who has trained this guy trained Batman. If he really wanted to, do I think that there's a way for him off this train? Probably not. Like, that he doesn't have the grappling hook, he doesn't have the cape, he doesn't have any of this shit. So I think he knows that. I don't know. It's kind of like with Batfleck and not putting the Bat brand on Jesse Eisenberg and Batman. He's like, he knows what that's going to do to him. Like you're basically killing him, basically.
So.
However, I don't.
No, sorry. Finish that thought. No, finish it. I'll go on.
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't, because he's like, you're a man of resources. Figure it out. And he just like, and the image of him just
it looks
going
great.
Backwards out of the.
But how does the back half of the thing blow up?
I think he just doesn't. I don't know. I was wondering about that. Like, is it just falling? I don't know, because he takes that batarang and he hits the window. It's like, is there something pressurized?
That's what
here?
I was thinking about. But I don't know.
Or I don't know. Yeah, that is a little odd,
move on, Colin, I'm going to put my lawyer hat on, right? I'm going to put this giant pretentious hat on. Crimes Act, 1900, Section 18. Murder and manslaughter defined. Here we go. Listen to these words very carefully. So, Section 18, subsection 1A. Murder shall be taken to have been committed where the act of the accused, in this case Batman, or thing by him or her omitted to be done, causing the death charged, was done or omitted. So omitted, like, you fail to help someone with reckless indifference to human life, or with intent to kill or inflict grievous bodily harm upon the person, or done in an attempt to commit, or during or immediately after the commission by the accused or some accomplice with him or her of a crime punishable by imprisonment for life or for 25 years. I think I
plead the fifth honor. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Are you Johnny Cochran? Yeah, dude. But if you go by law, man, like, this guy's clearly a fucking murderer.
Right. Well, because it's kind of if you go like strictly by the black and white law, which is kind of what Batman does. I mean, he's kind of like black and white about shit. But I think that, I don't know. Like, I think he's basically saying that, like, you could save yourself if you wanted to, but at this point, doesn't Ross kind of say something like, my fate lies with the people of Gotham? Like, isn't he just going to ride the train until he dies? Like, isn't that the point? Like, or is it supposed to just arrive safely at the station and stop? Like, I wasn't really sure about that.
Well, I mean,
but either way, he's fucking dead.
Yeah, he's fucking dead. No, and I do know that it causes the biggest fucking explosion of all time. Jesus Christ. When that microwave emitter blows up, holy shit. By the way, man, these practical effects when the train just comes crashing down just looks amazing.
Yeah, that's some really, really great miniature work. It's really, really, really good. But yeah, that's the end of Ra's al Ghul. They end up stopping the train. Gotham is saved, blah, blah, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. That homeless guy that Bruce gave the coat to earlier ends up being elected mayor. It's fantastic. No, I'm just kidding. That's just my fan edit. But back at the ashes of, I'm sorry. This is where we get Earl's been fired and Lucius Fox has been put in his place because Bruce owns the majority of the shareholders. Yeah, sure. Let's take a guy who's worked in the basement for the last 25 years and let him run your company. That'll fucking work.
About business.
Dude, I said that too, and I was like, don't get me wrong. I know that this guy was trying to cover up anything about this microwave thing being lost, but like the whole thing of like,
replace him as chairman.
Right. That didn't make any sense to me. Like, I wish there had been a guy on the board, like the guy who's like, I don't think this is what Thomas Wayne would have wanted. Or like when Bruce starts drinking too much, he's like, hey, Bruce, you need to chill out. Make that guy CEO. Like, he's all in there all the way until Dark Knight Rises. Like, he's in all of the
super
movies.
wrinkle guy,
it's like,
right?
Right, yeah. So just let him fucking go. Like, let him do his thing. Let him be the CEO. But making Fox, because I think Fox is the guy you need. He's like the Oracle tech guy that stays at the base and handles stuff. He doesn't run. And by the way, he into 2 years of running this company, fucking Coleman Reese finds out about Batman. So you're not doing a fucking great job covering this shit up, by the way. But either way, he becomes CEO. You're fired. Didn't you get the memo? And yeah, Rachel shows back up to Wayne Manor, and fucking whatever obligated romantic shit that they've got to do. She says that they can't be together until he's done playing Batman. And she's like, when I found out about your mask, he's like, Batman is just something, I don't have to be Batman. She's like, no, this is your mask, and yeah, so that's pretty much that scene. And they're going to rebuild Wayne Manor. They're going to, what did he say? We're going to specifically look at something around the East Wing or something like that. I thought that was pretty clever. But I like what they have in Dark Knight. I like that little weird underground bunker thing that they have. I dig that a lot more than the Batcave. I know that's like sacrosanct, but I kind of like it,
Fuck you.
But, yeah.
I think I like the third one best, to be honest.
I dig that. I do think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, except for this little semi post credit scene that we've got.
God.
Where,
oh my god! As a child, dude, I came.
Well, I keep wanting to say Gary Oldman, and I'm like Goldman. Oldman is talking about, retribution. We get Kevlar vest. They get
escalation,
bullet piercing rounds. Escalation, yeah. And he shows the card of the Joker. And basically, what does he say? He's like,
now take this guy. Armed robbery, double homicide. Got a taste for the theatrical, like you. Leaves a calling card.
Yeah, that's fucking great. And the setup, I mean, I think this just kind of blew people's minds. Like they were just fucking shitting their pants over this over this decision to end with this. But I mean, what did you think about this the first time that you saw it, the reveal that Joker was going to be in the sequel?
I'm 12 years old. Of course I loved it. No, seriously, I remember seeing this and I was like, holy shit. Because, man, like you kind of wanted to see... Even as a 12-year-old, you kind of wanted to see what the Joker looked like in this world. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, I had seen Jack Nicholson, who did an amazing job in that world, in Tim Burton's Batman, in the world of Tim Burton's Batman. Whereas, I'm like, man, I just saw the Scarecrow be this super hellish, amazing, scary villain. And, this is a movie about crime bosses and drug use and drug distribution. I want to see what the Joker looks like in this hyper-realistic world. Give it to me. And, man, lo and behold, 3 years later, who would have thought that Heath Ledger would have been one of the best people to play the Joker?
Hell yeah, dude. I remember being, pretty excited about it. When it was first announced, I was really wondering how the fuck are they going to pull this off. Now looking at it, it definitely seems like something of, hey, we don't know if we're getting a sequel, so fuck it. Like, we're just going to throw it out there because what have you got to lose, But ultimately, I mean, who would have known what was coming? Who had any idea?
No one did, dude. Any
idea? Like, oh my God, it's fucking like, it's so crazy to think about, like, how nobody had any idea of what was coming.
No one knew that we would get an Oscar-worthy version of a villain in a comic book movie. Like, you know what I mean? No, like, he literally won the Oscar posthumously after he passed away for that role. And man, like, it kind of makes me sad to talk about it because, like, he's just such a, growing up, we actually did watch a lot of Heath movies. So it was really, really sad when he passed away. I'm actually looking at a Funko Pop of his Joker right now. On my desk.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even in our artwork for the podcast, he's one of the characters sitting with us in our artwork.
That's why I'm not touching that movie. That's why I'm not touching that movie. Right.
Well, it's funny because we're talking about Rutger Hauer and Roy Batty's in the back row of our artwork. Exactly. That was funny. But I mean, that's pretty much Batman Begins. You want to give me final thoughts?
Yeah, man. Do you want to go listen to comments first?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine.
Cool. We got a few for this one because, I guess it's Batman, right?
Yeah.
Luke Newnham, love you, Luke. He says, Begins deserves so much more praise. As much as I love The Dark Knight, Begins is my favorite of the trilogy. Whoa. Shots fired, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong point, but I would love to sit down and pick his brain on why. You know,
no, let's get him on the podcast.
But yeah, right. I'm going to take this next one. This is from Jose Rivera. I remember how big this was when it came out. That's what she said. I think after Batman and Robin, we were all ready for something different, and this delivered. It was a movie of first live-action Batman origin film. Mask of the Phantasm was amazing, 12 years earlier. First introduced the concept of a reboot in films, and the first live-action appearances of the Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, and Victor Zsasz. Yeah, fucking great points. I loved Bale as Bruce / Batman, and the supporting cast is great. I'll even say it. I like Katie Holmes better as Rachel. Just start like hissing at him. My only gripe is the pronunciation of Ra's al Ghul. I grew up with the animated series. It's phonetically he spells it out here, the version of Raish, not Raz. I know it's a highly contested thing, even among his creators. I've never asked. I've asked Denny O'Neil at a convention, and he says Raish, while Neil Adams says Raz. Still drives me nuts.
Damn. Love it, Jose. You're awesome, dude. Another one from another pretty awesome guy, Patrick Harrington, who, by the way, just restarted his podcast, Married People Watch Movies. Go check it out.
Yes, he fucking did.
They are covering John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. What a way to start it.
Attaboy.
Nice. He says, this is a great movie. I like The Dark Knight more, but this is a close second. I do like the grounded approach Nolan takes, and this version of Batman did need to be darker and grittier than George Clooney and his bobblehead. If he had Jared, seriously, there is a scene in that movie where he's just like bobbling his head around and it's just all quiet and silent. It's funny.
I could see it being his A&E biography. Like, little did people know these were the first signs George Clooney had Parkinson's disease.
It's just all that fucking. What is he the spokesman for? Like, what cappuccino is he the spokesman of? Whatever.
Oh yeah. I know
he's just hopped up on
drinking way too much caffeine.
Patrick continues. However, and this is a big however, this trilogy had such an effect on DC that it took years for them to come to their senses and undo the damage. All right, Colin, we'll talk about this after because I do want to talk about this after. Patrick continues. He says their movie suffered. I mean, look at Man of Steel. It needed to be darker and grittier because why not? It worked for Batman, right? That ain't my Superman, Chief. Then we go to the comics, the New 52. Man, what a continuity shit show that ended up being. So many series were suddenly dark and gritty because everyone loved the Nolan trilogy so much that DC decided to go all in on the approach and tone. They have to do yet another reboot to their entire comic line just to fix the insane amount of damage they did to themselves. I love these movies, man, but wow, did they kill DC for a while. What do you think about that, Colin?
Well, it's funny because we kind of touched on that. I think Danny brought it up in our 2019 wrap up review of our top fives, and he said something about Brightburn being something very similar to that. Of a reboot means darker and grittier, and even Deadpool kind of pokes fun at that, and then oh yeah, you're so dark and gritty, you must be from the DC universe. I don't mind that, but I think that he's correct in the sense of DC put too many eggs in that basket. I don't think that's a bad thing to have, but this movie does not hinge on that. This movie, it is a element of it. It should be a feature. It shouldn't be the foundation. Right. And I agree. If that's what he's saying, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, I think that's kind of the gist of. If I can elaborate on it, I think that's why it's successful in this because it's just a small part. It's not the whole thing.
I remember when 2013's Man of Steel came out, and I remember watching the trailers for it. More so than Zack Snyder's name was Christopher Nolan's name in the executive producer position. Yeah, I remember his name, and then literally when Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice came out. They didn't mention anything about Nolan in the trailers at all. And then I remember sitting in that movie in the theater and there was his name, in the opening credits, executive producer, Christopher Nolan. And I think, by the time Justice League rolled around, he just peaced out. He's like, see you later. So, yeah, look, I do agree. It definitely, I can only speak in film as well because I don't dig into the comics at all, but it definitely did take a while for DC to move out of that thing because everything had to be gritty and grounded and realistic. I remember the catchwords were every time a producer would talk about their new comic book movie from the DC side, they were like, quote, grounded in reality. and that shit just got old real quick, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they have kind of like started to shed that pretty well, you know, following Aquaman and Shazam and even Wonder Woman. And, you know, maybe they're coming back to a little bit with Joker, but I'm happy with the way Joker went because that's that fit that story and what they were telling. So, yeah.
Right, yeah. The Flash doesn't make sense as a dark, gritty, you know, he's
Exactly.
a quirky, quippy, lighthearted character.
Yeah,
you know?
know your character, I think.
Right.
My favorite comment of all time is from Carlos from Hey Do You Remember? He just says, never heard of it. Ash Bedford, love you, Ash. He says, can't wait for the podcast. And then, of course, our co-host and producer of the show, Danny Hartley, says, everybody always talks about how Burton/Schumacher Batman movies got them into the character. For me, it was Batman Begins. I found the oddball Batman material, like the Batman Beyond animated series, far more interesting than the live-action movies up until this point. Great story, grittiness, and very impressionable film score. Thank you, Nolan. Absolutely, dude. Everything about this movie, the production elements of it are fantastic. The Newton Howard scored and Hans Zimmer score is absolutely incredible, man. I remember sitting there a couple months ago in the Hans Zimmer live show, and like he played something from Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises and The Dark Knight, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm in that sequence. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, dude. I think that's pretty much all the comments all the comments that we got. What's your final thoughts? Hit me with it.
Man, this movie's just so great to watch. It's so fun to watch. And it is a movie that I return to more than Dark Knight Rises, less so than Dark Knight. That movie is still the pinnacle for me. This is the movie that introduced me to Christopher Nolan. It introduced me to Christian Bale, who is currently one of the best working actors alive today. He is fantastic. It introduced me to a bunch of villains. I'd never heard of Falcone before. Falcone actually was in the comics. He was from The Long Halloween. It introduced me to Scarecrow, and I love the idea of Scarecrow. He was used really, really well in Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. So well. It introduced me to Cillian Murphy, man. Red Eye did, but you know, this kind of like took it up a different level because he's just so. I want to see him in more villain roles, man. He's so good. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, this brought Batman back into the limelight. I think, at this point. As I'm growing up in the early 2000s, it was Harry Potter who had overtaken Batman and all that other stuff for me, right? Like this is peak Harry Potter time. You know, you had Philosopher's Stone in 2002, and then, you know, they'd kind of release, I think yearly, I can't remember. But I was all in on Harry Potter at this point until, you know, Batman Begins piqued my interest. The first time I saw it, obviously I was bit bored, but you know, once I caught onto it, I loved it. And then, you know, The Dark Knight Rises came out, and then it was game over for everything else. Like, you know, I remember everything about watching The Dark Knight in the cinema. Really good movie, man. Really, really well cast, really well shot, well directed. You can tell that this is a Christopher Nolan film. It feels massive in scope. Like when he's, you know, in Bhutan, he's going up the mountain, like just these massive IMAX shots. It looks fantastic. Yeah, I would probably give it, I don't know in terms of score. I'd probably, if The Dark Knight Rises is an 8 for me, this might be an 8.5.
You know, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I'm done. Fuck you.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Well, no, I think that's a good jumping off point because I was going to say, to me, The Dark Knight Rises is like a 7, and then I would say Batman Begins is like an 8, and Dark Knight's probably, 10. I think that this is a fine movie. It has some problems. I think for a first-time director of something this big, I mean, the marketing was like $100 million campaign for this. I think his first time working with Christian Bale, his first time working on something that was probably this big, I think he handled it very well. And worst franchises, there have been better franchises that started on worse movies. And I think that this one started on a pretty, it made a lot of flips and it did a lot of pretty things. And ultimately the landing stuck pretty good. It was enough to bring some people back in and want to see more of what Christopher Nolan was doing. And I think it really kind of shook things up at the time because we needed a palate cleanser after Batman and Robin. And
hell yeah, we did.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that this is definitely an 8 out of 10. for me, there's some digital stuff that's just early 2000 CGI that doesn't really look all that great. The quippy one-liners are just not that. I'm just not a big fan. But I mean, to me, Rutger Hauer, Michael Caine, the minor characters really still the show for me, because I think they all kind of get. Maybe Gary Oldman doesn't really have that many scenes, but that's because he's sharing it with. I think Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Rutger Hauer, Katie Holmes, like all of them are being juggled. Liam Neeson,
Cillian Murphy,
all of those people are being juggled. Yeah, Cillian Murphy, all those people are being juggled around this Batman character, and nobody feels like they get left out, and nobody feels like they get too much. And I think that's definitely something worth talking about. But I really enjoy this movie. I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. But it's not one of those things I would watch all the time. It's pretty good, but it'd probably be a while before I'd watch it again, just because it's enjoyable, but it's definitely not my favorite Batman movie in the world. But with that being said, I think that's pretty much the end of my thoughts. Well, you want to run some socials and we'll get out of here?
Sounds good, man. All right, guys, we fucking wrapped our first feature presentation episode of 2020. We hope you enjoyed it.
Nice.
We started big, right? Batman Begins. This was your choice, Colin. Loved it. Good pick. Guys, if you're not already, please feel free to follow us on our socials. We have our main page, which is Midnight Double Feature, and then we have our Facebook group connected to that, which is called The After Party. The After Party is fucking one of my favorite things on the internet, man. Like, I love just, logging in every morning and just like checking out what people have posted. It's fantastic. People get in on there and, talk about movies and have a great time. We post polls on there and just have a fucking good laugh. So if you're not already, go ahead and follow it. It's called The After Party, 2 words. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and our Twitter handle is at MDF Pod. If you have anything you want to talk to us about, please email us, which is midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. And probably most importantly, please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. That would be fantastic. Give us 1 star, give us 5 star, however many you think we require. Just tell us why, tell us what we're doing wrong. We always take constructive criticism on board, and we always try and implement it into the show as best as possible. Best way possible. Fuck me, having a stroke right now. And please remember to share the show. If you like a post on the After Party, or if you like what you're reading, just share us. Get our name out there. That's something that we would absolutely appreciate. Colin, do you have anything else to say before we head the fuck out of here?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
No worries, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for our next few episodes. We've got a big 2020 planned. Catch you later.
Batman.